call tonight, the TV call for the Kings opener. Kyle Draper, you must be extremely excited, as all Kings fans are right
Yeah,
now.
I'm fired up right now to be here in Salt Lake City. They're celebrating 50 years of Jazz basketball. The Kings are celebrating 100 years of Kings basketball. And to get the season started in a hostile environment, mind you. Now, we know Utah is one of the tougher places to play. And so to get it started, I'm telling you, I'm fired up. I was out at Shoot Around Whitey earlier today. The players are amped up. The staff is amped up. I'm ready to go, man.
You know, Kyle, you know this better than most. We tend as fans to overreact a little bit to opening day, opening night, whatever the sport is. But I don't think there's any way around it. Yeah, this is the first of 82. But this is a big game for both teams because both teams will be from the jump jockeying for position, presumably in a very competitive Western Conference. I think the Jazz, their first 5 games are against the top 5 finishers in the West last year. So, yeah, we've got the pomp and circumstance of opening night, but this is also, I think, a very significant game for both teams.
No, you're 100% right. When you look at the start of the schedule for both teams, it's difficult. You mentioned the Jazz schedule. How about the Kings? You know, you got the Warriors, Lakers, and then the Warriors again. And so I know we went 0-4 last year and we're able to recover and get back on track. But I think tonight's an important game, especially considering the heavyweights that you have coming up. And, you know, I would like to see the Kings, you know, get off to a 7-3 kind of start and get that momentum going. That's something we saw last season when this team started to string together some wins. They went on a 7-game win streak, and then the momentum started carrying it, and you felt the buzz and the vibe around the city. That's why I think, you know, getting off to a good start is key for Sacramento.
So you got Whitey Gleason, you got Kyle Draper coming to us from Salt Lake City today. You mentioned you were at Shoot Around. What can you tell us about what happened there, where the Kings are? We know that as far as this starting lineup controversy that we've kind of been dealing with a little bit last few days, looks like the starting lineup's the same one the Kings had for the most part last year, right?
Yeah, exactly. 100%. Kevin Huerter's going to be in the starting lineup. And I was talking with somebody on the staff, and they didn't seem to be worried about Kevin Huerter. You know, we saw the playoffs, obviously, the shooting slump. We saw the preseason. There's been a lot of talk about that starting 2-guard position. But, you know, the person I was talking to today said it's not like, you know, he forgot how to shoot or anything like that. He'll be fine. And so I think it's important for him because we do have Chris Duarte on his heels. We do have Kobe Jones trying to get some playing time. And so for Kevin Huerter's sake, and I've said it the last couple of weeks, I need a vintage Kevin Huerter kind of game. 4 or 5 threes, smiling, making plays. And I think that that will help the fan base calm down just a little bit. I mean, people are trying to trade this guy. They're trying to bench this guy, Whitey. And I'm like, did we not see what he did last season? How great he was, and now we want to get rid of him after 12 subpar games. I'm like, calm down, guys. Let him have his thing now after 10 more games, 15 more games if he's still struggling. If you want to have a discussion, okay, but I'm not ready to have that talk yet.
How do you think, Kyle, the Kings and the Jazz, for that matter, will look different tonight from what we've seen in the preseason? Obviously, there's just a matter of intensity. Is there anything else you think Kings fans should be looking for? Anything else Kings fans will notice as far as what's different about the team this year?
Well, I think, you know, one thing watching Shoot Around today is just, you know, the number of plays that they've put in that are new and different. And I think what we saw last season, especially in the playoffs against the Warriors sort of figured out the Kings offense. You know, the Warriors did a great job shutting it down. And so I think from what I saw today, and I've been seeing at practice, you know, they're trying to diversify their offense, a little more pick and rolls, a little more pick and pops, throw some different looks out there. And so it just won't be your same old dribble handoff left and right, you know, that we saw last season. You know, as for Utah, we saw them last week, but, you know, 4 of their studs weren't playing. We didn't see Clarkson. We didn't see Markkanen. We didn't see Kelly Olynyk. And so this team that we saw last week, you know, gave us fits, gave us, you know, trouble, obviously. Colin Sexton, THT, they both went off. But now they bring in the rest of their firepower. And I feel like every time these two teams play, it comes down to the wire, right? It's always a good matchup. And so I think you'll see a Utah Jazz team, man, that is ready. This building will be rocking, and we'll see what the Kings can bring.
And then they're going to have everybody wearing purple shirts, right? That's what you're saying during the crossover?
Yeah,
okay.
I wish I could show.
Thank you.
I walked in and I'm like, Are they really doing a purple out? Now, it'd be different if they were opening up against the Celtics or somebody like that, the Bucks, Phoenix. But that's the Kings' primary color, right? Purple. And so every seat here in Delta Center is laced with the purple T-shirt. So it'll be interesting to see. I will say, we talked in the crossover with Zachariah about the Jazz and how well they got off to a good start last season. Halfway through the season, they were playing well. They've won their last 6 season openers.
Really?
So, yeah, for some reason, and it's been different coaching staffs, different players, but for some reason, they get up for this season opener. And so it's going to be a test tonight.
Yeah, that's cute. Oh, you're celebrating your 50th anniversary. That's nice. We're celebrating a 100th anniversary of Kings basketball. So goody for you. Kyle, one thing I've been thinking about a lot lately is how can the Kings be better this year? We expect them to be. How can they be? And I think one thing, try this on. Last year, the Kings got off to a slow start. A lot of reasons for that. Part of that was, Mike Brown was a new team. He was trying to figure some things out. And obviously, he's got to figure some things out at the start of this year. But I think he has a clearer idea of what he wants his rotation to look like from the jump tonight.
Yeah, I think so. And let's call it what it is, too, Whitey. This is an improved bench.
Yes.
You got more reliable guys. No offense to TD and Chemezi and those guys, but you weren't sure what you were going to get from them night in and night out. Mike Brown would have to throw in TD, see if he got it going, and if he didn't, then he'd have to pull him out. Same thing with Chemezi. I think you know what you're going to get from Chris Duarte out here tonight. If Kobe Jones gets some run, you know what you're going to get. JaVale McGee, 3-time champion. You know what you're going to get from these guys. And so I think Mike Brown, to your point, does have a better sense of his roster. It's a deeper roster, a more complete roster. And I would also like to add, you can go a number of different ways. This could be a versatile roster. One thing we didn't see, and you and I have been talking about it all preseason long, we haven't seen that double big lineup at all. I don't know if we'll see it tonight or anything like that, but, that's something they couldn't do last year. They didn't have that luxury last year. This year they do.
By the way, the other end of that spectrum, for what it's worth in the preseason, I'm sure you know better than I, but the Jazz at times went really small. They went with a 4-guard lineup at times in the preseason. And maybe some of that was just because of who was available, but that's something to keep an eye on tonight. As far as the Kings, there's so many interesting, not just new players, but Duarte, how exactly is he going to fit in here? And Colby Jones, we've talked so much about him. I think we've talked a lot about how well he has played. I think we've kind of overlooked just how versatile he is. So there's still a lot of things he can do for this team that I don't think we've necessarily seen yet, Kyle.
Yeah, and that's a great problem to have if you're Mike Brown. We've been talking about, Mike Brown is going to have to make some tough decisions and, talking to the coaching staff, talking to the front office. That's the kind of problem you want to have. We didn't have that last season. The Kings did not have that at all. We knew who the rotation was. We knew who was playing. Here, one night it could be Colby Jones. One night it could be Chris Duarte. I wouldn't be surprised, if Mike Brown switches things up, a few times, depending on matchups as well. Let's say you play a team like Phoenix. Maybe you need an extra defender out there. You want to start a defensive lineup when Bradley Beal's out there with Kevin Durant and Devin Booker. And so I just think this Kings team is a lot more versatile. Versatility is going to be key. When you look at this Jazz team, and they might go small, what they don't have, though, is your typical point guard, your prototypical point guard. They might start Talen Horton-Tucker tonight at point guard, and so they've been sort of experimenting at that position. They got 4 guys that they can run out there at that position. And so I think what you'll see early on is sort of a feeling out. What we see, from the Jazz early, the starting unit, may not be how it is in 5 games. I think Will Hardy is still trying to figure it out, too.
I know it's just the first game. So if you haven't noticed any of this yet, it's almost certain that you will at some point here as you continue your travels around the league. But do you get a sense that the Jazz fans, are the Kings viewed any differently right now after the success they had last year than they have been on opening nights for the last, 15, 16 years?
I haven't gotten that sense, and one way you can tell when you travel with the team is how many people are waiting outside the hotel lobby to get autographs. It was pretty thin when we arrived yesterday and today. But towards the end of last year, we had 15, 20 people. And so I think, this being the first game, it's funny.
Sure.
I was in an Uber, Ubered over here from the hotel to the arena, and the guy dropped me off, and he's like, "Hey, is there a game tonight?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about, bro? It's like opening night here. This is your squad." He's like, "Yeah, I'm not into basketball." And so, it's on all the news channels, obviously, but there's still a segment of people out there who, they were like, "Oh, I didn't even know there was a game tonight."
Well, it's been a few years since the Jazz have been relevant, right? And they just are coming off of, 1 year after they traded away all their stars. So I'm sure they've lost some of the connections to their own fans.
Yeah, but if I'm a Jazz fan, this is a young, exciting team, in my opinion. You got Lowry Markkanen, who was an all-star. You got several other players, THT, Chris Dunn, Colin Sexton, and so you got all these draft picks as well. And so this is a young team, and I've been saying it. We know the Denver's, Lakers, Golden State's, Phoenix, they're going to be there. But who's going to be that next team? And I think Utah, they're trying to position themselves to be in the same mold as an OKC, as Sacramento, to be that next team that can have a 3 to 5 year sustained run.
We're going to take a real quick break. When we come back, why opening night was a great one for Kings fans, even though the Kings haven't played. And we'll update you on the latest Brock Purdy news this afternoon. Kyle's in Salt Lake City, Whitey Gleason here in Sacramento. It's the Drive Guys on Sactown Sports. Right back.
Has Monty put together a roster that can help make a deep playoff run this season?
Just trying to give coach options, give him guys that can help us win in a variety of areas. Obviously, our top guys are going to play every game, but there's going to be other times, whether it's injuries, matchups, we've got to have some variety on the bench for coach to point to and say, go in there and help us win.
Tune into every Kings game this season
on Sactown Sports and SactownSports.com.
Exergen thermometers are the smart choice when selecting a thermometer. With children back at school, keeping them healthy is important. Got a fever? Stay home. To detect fever accurately at home, you need a clinically accurate, fast, and non-invasive thermometer. The Exergen thermometer is backed by over 100 clinical studies. Accuracy matters. Be smart and safe. Measure accurately with Exergen thermometers. Available at Walgreens and other participating retailers. Learn more at Exergen.com.
It's time to trade in and trade up at Northern California's #1 Honda dealer, Stockton Honda. Whether you're shopping new or pre-owned, Stockton Honda has the selection and savings. Plus, get top dollar for your trade. Come in today or go to StocktonHonda.com. It's all a click away.
Anytime, anywhere, it's all here. StocktonHonda.com.
Claim based on 2022 total new and Honda certified pre-owned vehicle car sales from American Honda Motor Company's own one report.
Your flagship station for the Beam Team, Sactown Sports.
Whitey Gleason and Kyle Draper with you today. Opening night for the Kings, such a special night. Kyle's coming to us from Salt Lake City. Before I left for the station today, Kyle, my wife, Sheena, said, hey, for dinner, we should have something special for opening night. And I was thinking, well, yeah, the Kings are in Salt Lake City. And for a minute, I thought, maybe we should have something that they have in Salt Lake City. And I couldn't think of anything. And I'm not in any way bad-mouthing the great state of Utah. But is there something? Do they have things that, in Salt Lake City, they eat this or that? I couldn't come up with anything.
No. And as you were telling the story, I was like, did he come up with it's not a barbecue place, it's not a huge Italian hub, I don't think. And so that's a great question. Hey, I'm going to ask the guy behind me real quick, right? Yeah. What's Salt Lake City known for food-wise? Do you have like a cuisine? Do you have barbecue? You got seafood? What you got for me?
We have some local stuff. It's like funeral potatoes.
I saw that.
And Jell-O. Those are the big ones. Yeah. I'm a foodie, but Salt Lake needs to kind of up it a little.
Yeah, we got to step it up out here, huh?
Yeah.
All right. Appreciate that.
That's incredible, Kyle, because right before we came back, I looked up something about popular dishes in Utah, and I thought, well, this is nonsense, because number 3 is funeral potatoes and number 1 is Jell-O.
What?
And I thought, well, that's
No
useless.
way.
And then
No way.
your boy parrots that. So, yeah, I think we'll just have pizza or something. Again, no offense to the great state of Utah. That's crazy.
That's hilarious. And I'm looking at the YouTube chat, and they're talking about hot dogs. So I thought, like hot dogs and burgers be their thing or something
That's
like that.
fine.
Oh, my
Yeah,
God.
yeah.
Hey, I tell you what, though, Whitey. I tell you what, though. If I was in Salt Lake, and I lived here, it's a beautiful day out here, 70 degrees. I would have the grill going.
Mm-hmm.
I would have people over. I would be excited for Jazz basketball. This is one of the first times I've been here where it's actually pleasant outside. You can walk around and feel comfortable. And so, if I lived here, that's what I would be doing. I wouldn't be having the funeral potatoes or the Jell-O or anything like that.
All right. By the way, you're missing a day where it's very gray. We're even getting some few spits of rain here. So you picked a good day to go to Salt Lake City. By the way, homecoming night for Sacramento State football is this Saturday versus Idaho State Bengals. Kickoff 6 p.m. Come early, enjoy the festivities. Get your tickets at hornetsports.com. Speaking of the Bengals, before we get back to the basketball, Kyle, what did you think of today's news? We found out this afternoon, as we discussed during the crossover, that Kyle Shanahan announces Brock Purdy's in concussion protocol. Kyle Shanahan said there's a chance that Brock Purdy could play against the Bengals, but Adam Schefter says nobody in the NFL this year has gone into protocol, has actually played that same week. So all indications are now no Brock Purdy this week. What else could go wrong for your beloved 49ers?
I tell you, I think this is a huge blow because I think this is arguably the most important game of the season right now. You've lost the last 2 games. You're facing a Cincinnati Bengals team that they've sort of righted the ship. I said if you lose this past week to the Vikings, that this week would be a must win. And I don't think this team can afford a 3-game losing streak. And that doesn't mean that their Super Bowl hopes are dashed or anything like that. We're talking about home field in the NFC. And so, Sam Darnold, Sammy Dimes, he's going to have to come in and, obviously, Debo's probably going to be out, right? Is that what they're saying too?
Yeah.
And so you're going to be a little limited. Maybe it's a heavy CMC kind of game this week. Fortunately for the Niners, they're back at home. But, man, that's a tough blow because if you're a Niners fan, we've been down this road before. The only thing that Niners fans you feel is that could derail your season is injuries. Now you got Debo. You got CMC bang out. Trent Williams, now your quarterback as well. And it's I guess it's better to have these now, obviously, than later in the season. But, man, this is a tough blow.
Yeah, it is, especially because, to your point, the 49ers had stated as a goal, they wanted to make sure they got off to a great start this year, and they wanted to avoid having to play the biggest playoff games on the road. So you win your first 5, you're leading the conference, and then all of a sudden you lose 2 in a row. And now if by chance you fall to the Bengals, who are playing much better, as you pointed out, you're in the dogfight for the division with the Seattle Seahawks, and nobody saw that coming a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, exactly. And, you still got 2 left against Seattle, and so those become even more important. The one saving grace for San Francisco, they need to get the ground game going. We didn't see it that much this past week or really the week before. Cincinnati does not have a great run defense. In fact, I think they're 29th in run defense in terms of rush yards allowed per game. And so maybe this is a big heavy CMC game. I think you got to take some of the pressure off Sam Darnold. I don't expect him to come in and have to rally the troops and throw for 300 and something yards and 4 touchdowns. He's capable, yes, but there's a reason he's a backup. And so I think if you're Kyle Shanahan, it might be a heavy CMC game. He had 15 carries last week, seemed to have come out of it okay with that oblique injury. And so maybe you up that to 20, 22 carries a game this weekend.
Yeah. At the risk of oversimplifying, I think Minnesota basically said, Christian McCaffrey's not going to beat us. We're going to load up. And then, so, all right, Brock Purdy, let's see how good you are. And he played very well for the most part. He played well until he didn't. So I would think there's a very good chance Cincinnati employs a similar strategy. But, Fred Warner said after that loss that we have to win the grimy games. And I know I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit, but those games against Seattle, which, again, they could be really important now, more important than I thought. I know you have been saying Seattle's good, but those are typically grimy games. So the 49ers definitely have to prove they can win some of these games and get this thing headed in the right direction. May not be easy this week.
Right. And you don't want to get the reputation, I've called Dallas front runners, paper tigers, and what we've seen from the Niners this season, when it's going good, when they get an early lead, they're great. But when they're in the dogfight, like we saw against Cleveland, like we saw this last week against Minnesota, they weren't able to get it done. And we've all heard the stat of Kyle Shanahan and the Niners, when they're trailing in the fourth quarter by five or more, they've never had a comeback win.
Yeah.
And so, to me, you look at this team, and I know they have great skill players, but really the defense and the defensive line is the hallmark of this team. Like last year, as great as Brock Purdy was, it was the defense that really carried them to the NFC Championship game. And so I think, they got to stop being, a wine and cheese kind of squad looking to score 40 points and get back to, like you said, being grimy, being dirty, gutting out wins. And it may have to be that this weekend against Cincinnati.
I saw it this way, and I agree with you. The defensive line for the 49ers, they're supposed to be the unit that comes out and makes it funeral potatoes for the other team. Last week, they were Utah Jello, right? That's what they were. That's basically what happened to that front seven for the 49ers, or at least the front four.
Yeah, and let me ask you this. If Kirk Cousins is going to look like Dan Marino and Tom Brady, what the heck do we think Joe Burrow is going to look like
I don't even want to think about it.
Defense, right? Exactly. And so, we can talk about Brock Purdy. We could talk about Sam Darnold. And those are key parts of what we're going to see. But if this defense doesn't get off the field on third down, it's going to be tough for them to win.
It's a good thing I'm not coaching the Niners, because I would skip Sam Darnold. I'd go right to the third guy, Brandon Allen. I like him. I'd say, Sam, you're still a backup. Brandon Allen, where you at?
God. You would, too. You probably would.
He knows the Bengals well. He used to play for him, so he'd be my guy this week. But that's going to be interesting to keep an eye on. All indications are no Brock Purdy. But again, Kyle Shanahan did say technically there is time for him to clear the protocol, so it basically appears to be a possibility. As for,
let me ask you this, real quick. Right? I want to stay right there for a second, because last week we talked about CMC's banged up, don't want to rush him back. We can afford to rest him, this week against the Vikings and maybe the Bengals. Does it have to, is this, in your opinion, a must win, like all hands on deck? And I know you don't mess with concussions, obviously. You got a clear protocol. But is this one where you say, you know what, Brock, sit this one out. You got the bye week coming up. Let's be safe and cautious with it.
Not necessarily. Just depends on, because right now, if he's fine, he's like, you know what, I'm fine. The fog's gone. It's like, you need to win this game. And wouldn't you agree? I know you're not the biggest Brock Purdy fan in the world, but I mean, wouldn't you agree you have a better chance to win with Brock Purdy under center than Sam Darnold? So if he can go, fine. But only if he's fine. If there's any, they wouldn't even let him play if he's not 100%. So it's kind of out of your hands, really.
Right, exactly. And like you said, if the medical staff clears him, if he clears protocol,
gotta play.
He still gives you the best chance to win out of the quarterback position. So I agree with you.
I know a lot of Kings fans last night. I know one that sat across from me yesterday, Jerry Reynolds, was in for you. And, Jerry, like a lot of Kings fans, he doesn't like the Lakers. And he says, doesn't like the Warriors either. And both of those teams lost last night. So a great opening night for Kings fans, even though the Kings haven't played yet.
Yeah, it was perfect, right? In my opinion, the Kings are 2-0 already, in the standings, right? Because both the Warriors and the Lakers lost. And, those were two interesting games, because the Warriors went on that crazy run in the third quarter. I'm in the hotel watching it, and I'm like, here we go again. And Chris Paul actually, to me, looks better than I thought he would in that Warriors team. I see what they're, what they were doing, but it was interesting. They went with Jonathan Kuminga down the stretch and Andrew Wiggins on the bench. And I'm watching that Warriors team, and I'm thinking Kuminga and Moses Moody might be the key for them. Now, if those guys can be productive and consistent, that gives them some depth that, maybe they didn't have last season. And so it was great watching those games. Denver, I thought maybe they might be, falling off just a little bit. They would lost Bruce Brown. Jeff Green is gone. But, man, they still look good as well. And so, no, it was a good night last night for Kings fans.
Have you seen, or did you see, or have you read anything about the the Nuggets rings, the championship rings, because they're almost literally unbelievable.
I did see some of the pictures of them, like the banner that slides out.
Yeah,
it's
crazy. Like a ring within a ring.
Yeah,
and then there's something you can dial on top. So they got like the pickaxe there in the basketball, and there's a lever or something. So you got either blue sapphires, or then you change it, and then it's a white diamonds background. And the guy who does all these rings, he does all these championship rings. He says, well, I've never done this before. It might be my favorite one. It's crazy. It's
unbelievable, right?
Yeah.
I thought the Warriors rings, from last year were pretty good, because it had the arena, I think, on the inside or something. Like, I was like, man, this is unbelievable. But every year it seems like, somebody takes it a step farther, and these rings are pretty cool. I mean, I know they're not functioning, wear it every day, but I tell you what, I used to obviously work in Boston, and there was a guy who had a Red Sox ring, and he had that thing on every time he went out to the bars because he knew it would get people talking. And so, I would imagine these Nuggets rings, Jokic, when he goes back home or hits up some of the bars, it'll be a great conversation piece.
Yeah. So broadcasters often get rings, right? So I can't imagine what the Kings ring that you get, in the early summer. I can't imagine what that's going to look like. It might be you might not get it till about a year from now, but it's going to be nice.
Oh, I was wondering. I don't have to worry about getting fitted just yet then, right?
Not yet.
Still wait a little bit.
Beat the rush, though. Yeah.
Those are things I dream about. Trust me, Whitey. I dream about that.
Yep. It all starts tonight. When we come back, hey, guess what? More Domas slander from the national media. Kyle will help us break that down next. He joins us from Salt Lake City as the Drive Guys roll on here. Opening night for the Kings on Sactown Sports.
Check out the Golf to Go Hour with Frank LaRosa every week on Sactown Sports. Get the latest on equipment, area courses, people who play the great game, and plenty of good conversations about golf. It's the Golf to Go Hour every week with Frank LaRosa on Sactown Sports. Golf to Go is brought to you by the Hagen Oaks Golf Super Shop, America's most awarded golf facility. Naturewood Home Furnishings, where it's all about choices and always about quality.
Sacramento weather is brought to you by Bonnie.
I'm Tamara Berg in the KCRA 3 Weather Center. Your Wednesday includes cooler temperatures, more clouds, and a chance for a couple of showers this afternoon into the early evening. Expect daytime highs in the upper 60s and lows in the 40s. Get the latest forecasts on the KCRA 3 News and the KCRA 3 app.
Winter's coming, so let's kick off the cold season right and get your heater all tuned up. Now just $79. No matter how cold it gets outside, you'll always be warm and toasty inside. Plumbing, sewer, electrical, heating, and air. Bonnie.com.
Hey, it's Carmichael Dave letting you know Capital Casino, Sacramento's #1 poker room and primetime football location is back. Cap Casino giving away $500 per game in high hand bonuses for every Sunday, Monday, and Thursday night primetime game, offering the best food, best service, and the best action with the most variety of games in the region and conveniently located in downtown Sacramento. Check it out. Capital Casino. And as always, please remember to gamble responsibly. 1-800-GAMBLER. It's the sponsor of the Drive of the Game, Jiffy Lube, our old friends, our dear friends, Jiffy Lube. With winter coming up, listen, all kinds of things. Obviously, oil changes, wiper blades, tire rotations. You get your air filters replaced. Make sure you winterize your vehicle. For more information, of course, you can go to jiffylube.com and make sure you tune in after each and every Kings game for the Jiffy Lube Drive of the Game. For more info, once again, go to jiffylube.com.
Bonneville International Radio Station contests are open to participants at least 18 years of age and older that are residents of California and who reside in one of the 6 counties that make up the Sacramento metro area, unless otherwise specified. Employees or agents of the station, Bonneville International Corporation, other area radio stations, or any entity associated with the contest are not eligible to win, unless the station otherwise specifies in its own discretion. Persons who have won in the last 30 days from a station contest or event may not be eligible. For a copy of the general contest rules, visit KHTK.com.
Your Sacramento State Hornets are home this Saturday night against the Idaho State Bengals. It is homecoming at Sac State, so arrive early and enjoy the homecoming festivities. Kickoff is set for 6 p.m., and let's pack Hornet Stadium as the top-ranked Hornets compete for a Big Sky championship. Stick around after the game for post-game fireworks. Get your tickets now to secure your spot at Hornet Stadium for this Big Sky showdown. You can get your tickets at hornetsports.com. Stingers up.
What's up? We're talking to Chad Hoblet of Hoblet Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, and Woodland. Chad, what's happening with Ram Power Days?
We love American muscle, and right now is the last call on new 2023 Dodge Charger and Challenger SXTs before they're gone, with lease payments as low as $399.
What about all those Ram trucks I see?
Save thousands with 0% financing for 72 months and $6,000 off MSRP on all new 2023 Ram 1500 Bighorn and Laramie Crew Cabs. And we all know 0% financing is almost impossible to find in 2023.
These deals can't last long, so hurry into Hoblet Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, and see their whole inventory at HobletDodge.com. Unbeatable prices, unbeatable selection. Nobody beats Hoblet, period.
Take 0% financing for 72 months plus $6,000 dealer discount. Offer on approved credit through Chrysler Capital. Must have 700 plus FICO score to qualify. 0% for 72 months equals $13.89 per thousand borrowed. Lease new 2023 Dodge Charger or Challenger SXT for $399 a month for 42 months with $49.95 due at signing plus tax, license fees, and any accessories. Offer subject to credit approval through U.S. Bank with 10,000 allowable miles per year. 25 cents per mile excess mileage charge. 5 each net savings. See dealer for details.
Jerry and Kenny here from Bell Brothers. And if you've even thought of replacing your old, outdated, inefficient windows, now is the time to take action.
Right now at Bell Brothers, when you buy one window, you'll get the second one for 30% off. That's right. Buy one, get the second one 30% off.
That's real savings, up to $6,000. You have to buy at least 4 windows to qualify, and you can't mix windows and doors. But beyond that, every second window is 30% off.
For example, when you buy 10 windows, you will get 5 windows at 30% off. We also have 0% interest financing available for qualified buyers. Call for details.
To take advantage of our buy one, get one 30% off sale, call Bell Brothers now at 916-444-1234 or find us online at theNoSurpriseGuys.com.
The No Surprise Guys, Bell Brothers.
Guys, did you know your testosterone level impacts your energy, libido, sleep, weight, hair loss, mood, and even ED? And right now, Revive Men's Health Sacramento will check your testosterone for free. They've helped thousands of men since 2011 feel and perform better. They're so confident they can help you, they even guarantee it. Schedule your free testosterone test, exam, and consultation today. Call 916-277-8599. That's 916-277-8599. Or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com.
Sactown Sports.
Headlines. Happy Wednesday and happy opening night, Kings fans. I'm Simone, and these are your Sactown Sports headlines. Unfortunately, we start with reports coming out of Santa Clara and the Faithful camp. San Francisco 49ers quarterback Brock Purdy has entered concussion protocol, according to head coach Kyle Shanahan. Speculation indicates that Brock Purdy is now unlikely to play on Sunday versus the Bengals based on concussion protocol trends and procedures. For more on this developing story, head to SactownSports.com. Of course, tonight, the Sacramento Kings open up the 2023-24 regular season from Salt Lake City as they try to boogie down with the Jazz. The Drive Guys will be lacing you up with the latest roster notes, predictions, and need-to-knows, cruising you right up until game night coverage beginning at 4:30 with Scott Marsh and Henry Turner, followed by tip-off at 6 p.m.
We like the beat.
And some MLB breaking news we have to get to. I'll let the fellas take it away. Welcome back in to the Drive Guys.
Thank you, Simone. Yeah, Kyle Draper in Salt Lake City, Whitey Gleason in our Sactown Sports Studios, and a huge Kings fan is in the news this afternoon, Kyle. We just got word that it's official. There had been rumblings that this may happen for a few days, but Dusty Baker stepping down as manager of the Houston Astros after 26 seasons as a major league manager. So Godspeed, Dusty Baker.
I'm going to say, Whitey, congratulations to him. He's been a class act through and through, has been a great manager, 3 pennants, won a World Series as well, and always represents Sacramento. And obviously it's sad to see him step down, and, you never wanted him to see him go or anything like that. But I'm glad he's going on his own terms. He had another great run at it, made it all the way to the ALCS. And so shout out to Dusty, man. You mentioned it, a huge Kings fan. And I'm sure we'll be seeing him at some games this season.
Yeah, Dusty Baker, the only thing in the universe that could make me root for the Houston Astros as I did last year, because I wanted Dusty to get one, and thank goodness he did. He didn't need one to solidify his legacy, but it's nice that he got the ring. So, yeah, thank you, Dusty Baker, for everything. All the best. And then you're right. We'll be seeing him out at Golden One Center pretty soon, I would think, Kyle.
Yeah, I would think so. I wouldn't be surprised to see him this Friday or this Sunday, right? Big games, obviously. I think the stars will be out, rivalry games, and especially on the heels of his retirement. Can you imagine the ovation that he's going to get at Golden One Center?
Mm-hmm. It's going to be huge. And by the way, the other managerial news today, of course, is Bob Melvin introduced as the manager of the San Francisco Giants. That thing took off because it was just a couple weeks ago the Padres said he's staying, and the next thing you know, no, he's going to the Giants. He asked permission and he's gone. So I think it's a great move for the Giants. They're going to need better players, but they've got a great manager in place.
Yeah, and they needed a baseball guy, right?
Yeah.
Not somebody young, analytics. Bob Melvin is a throwback baseball guy, and so I think that's what this franchise needed at this point.
Yeah, he's the perfect blend. He's a great old school baseball guy, but he also has worked. He worked for Billy Beane and Farhan with Hayes before, so he knows how to, bridge that gap and how to. All right, we're doing this, but he's a nice blend of old school and has a great sense of the newer analytical approach to the game. I wanted to ask you, Kyle, about this. Something you sent me yesterday, and since you were on your way to Salt Lake City, we didn't really have a chance to kick it around. But your boy Kevin O'Connor striking again. And on Twitter, he wrote about the Kings, and he said, this season will prove the Kings need to upgrade over Domantas Sabonis to seriously contend for a title. I love what Sacramento is building, but Sabonis is a limited defender, and he has lots to prove as a shooter. Finding a front court partner or an upgrade will be the next step. Again, that's Kevin O'Connor on X. And thanks for sharing that with me. Kyle, what did you make of that?
And Kevin O'Connor, I'll tell you, Kings fans, I consider him a friend of mine. Me and this guy, we go way back. Yeah, we go way back. Like, I was with him when he first got his start covering the NBA, and he was doing his draft guide. And, we sort of started using his draft guide in Boston because he was a local guy. And then he took off. The Ringer hired him. And now, I think it's a bunch of bunk. I'll call it like it is. It doesn't surprise me that he would say something like that. He's not a Sabonis fan. He's a total analytics guy. If a big man can't shoot or block shots, it's like, what use do you have? And, here's the thing that is so confusing about what O'Connor is saying. And I know Jokic is the best player in the world, but you can argue that Sabonis, in terms of facilitating, does a lot of the similar things. You take Jokic off this Denver team and their offense is totally different. Same thing with Sabonis in the Sacramento Kings. He is vital to what they do offensively. And so what kind of upgrade can you get over Domantas Sabonis? He's arguably a top 3 center in the NBA behind Embiid and Jokic. Is Bam Adebayo? Would Bam fit in better here in Sacramento? I don't think so. And so it's mind-blowing to me that these people continue to take shots at a 3-time All-Star, at an All-NBA third-team performer, a guy that goes out there and gets you 19, 12, and 7 every single night. I know there are a lot of teams in the NBA who would love to have a guy like Domantas Sabonis.
I've been spending some time trying to figure out why this narrative is so prevalent here, why there are so many analysts that keep saying the same things about Sabonis. There's no question, no matter how you break down the numbers or how you look at the game, there's no question he had a great year last year. That's a fact. I think part of it, Kyle, is some of these people like Kevin O'Connor, it seems like they assume that Sabonis is supposed to be the Kings' best player. He's not their best. This year, he might be their third best player. If your second or third best player is Domantas Sabonis, you got a pretty good team, and that's what the Kings are trying to build, and I think that's what some of these people are missing.
Yeah, I agree 100% of that. Domas is never going to be that 28, 29, and 12 guy. He's just not that kind of volume scorer like that.
Right.
But yet but Whitey, he shot better than 60% from the field last season.
I know.
And so if he was selfish, he could do that. But then that's not what this team needs. And so I agree with you, man. I don't know what it is these people want Domantas Sabonis to do. it's sort of like all you got to do is look at Sacramento before Domantas Sabonis and after Domantas Sabonis. Pretty much everything's been the same. Fox has been here. Sure, you upgraded the roster, but the biggest change for the Kings, give Mike Brown a lot of credit, but Domantas Sabonis was the one that started it. That was the first domino to fall to get this to turning around for Sacramento.
You know what I really would like to see happen tonight? And it's going to be, I think, a terrific game. And we're going to have a lot of terrific games all season long. And I understand, I think I have a pretty realistic view of what the Kings are. I would love for them to come out and start shutting teams down, where the Jazz come out and score 97, 99, because I'm just getting so tired of talking about what are they going to do to fix the defense. I would just love to see some of the things that Mike Brown is implementing take root. I don't know how realistic it is. As long as I win, who cares?
Right.
But I would love to see the Kings start to play better defense and to put the cap on that narrative as well.
Yeah, and I think Mike Brown is in the same boat as you and me as well. Can I get a 93-87 win one of these days?
You've been saying that, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's something we need to see because, when you look at the best teams in the NBA, they can beat you a number of different ways. You look at Denver and what they did to the Lakers last year. They did it both ways. What they did to Miami as well. They shut Miami down. Jimmy Butler wasn't playoff Jimmy as much. And so Denver, despite being 15th, I think it was, in the NBA in defense last season, they were able to ratchet it up at some point. I think the Sacramento Kings, their next step, we always talk about the evolution of this team and the growth, not from an individual standpoint, but from a team collective to be able to win different ways. We all love 176, 175 against the Clippers. That was great. That was amazing. But sometimes you got to grind it out. Sometimes, like we saw against the Warriors, the threes aren't going to be falling. And so how can you else find another way to win? And so I think that's the evolution of this team.
The Warriors. I'll tell you one thing that really bugs me about the Warriors when we come back. I had forgotten about it, and you just reminded me. Also, James Harden is back with the Sixers. Kind of. We'll look at that. What else is going on around the NBA? It's Drapes from Salt Lake City. Whitey right here in Sactown. Drive Guys on Sactown Sports.
Can the Niners build off their NFC Championship appearance from last season? How will the quarterbacks perform throughout the year?
Purdy back, now going to throw for the end zone, wide open, Brandon Ayuk is on fire!
Will the defense lead this squad again?
Intercepted, ball got tipped up and taken by Fred Warner.
Get all your 49er coverage throughout the NFL season on Sactown Sports and SactownSports.com.
Igor, my faithful companion, it is time to prepare for the night. The shadows grow long, and the creatures of the night stir with excitement.
Yes, Master Dracula. What do you require of me?
I need you to fire up the hearse. Elk Grove Kia is having a Halloween sale that is to die for. We're going to upgrade you a new car worthy of the Prince of Darkness. I'm so excited. It is making my blood shiver.
But Master, with your credit history, aren't you worried you're going to get turned down?
Igor, shut up. Elk Grove Kia's finance department has over 100 years of experience. They can even get me approved, even with my troubled past. And Elk Grove Kia's exclusive 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty on all new Kias, it's almost like having an immortal car.
Elk Grove Kia's Halloween sale is so good, it's scaring the competition. In fact, it's so scary, we can't even advertise the pricing. So whether you're in need of a new or used car, make your way to Elk Grove Kia in the Elk Grove Auto Mall, or visit us at elkgrovekia.com.
Gold Country Casino Resort proudly presents an unforgettable night of professional boxing on Saturday, November 11th. Our event features a stacked fight card with exciting bouts of live boxing that will keep you on the edge of your seat. Don't miss out on this epic night of boxing action. Tickets are on sale now at goldcountrycasino.com for this exciting event, November 11th at 7 p.m. only at
Gold Country Casino Resort.
At Ashton Price, over the last 25 years, we've won just about every injury case you can think of. Slip and fall, falling merchandise, fell through rotted decking, we won those. Dangerous stairs, falls into holes, dog bites, won them. Injured while pedestrian or on a bicycle, auto, motorcycle, big rig, company vehicle, Uber, or Lyft accident, we've won them all. And the best news is there's no fee until you win. So no matter how you got injured,
Remember, for the best advice, don't think twice. Call Ashton and Price.
Awesome. Hey, babe, can you check the front door? My package is here.
Yeah, on it. Hey, are we still watching our show tonight?
New episode on Prime? You bet. That reminds me, let's hit Whole Foods this afternoon. We need snack supplies.
From package deliveries to entertainment and even fresh groceries, Amazon is in front of hundreds of thousands of customers every single day. Imagine what you could do if your business had that kind of reach. It's not a dream. Right now, you can take advantage of Amazon's expansive network to benefit your business. Unlock expert insights and tap into the full potential of Amazon. Simply text DIGITAL to 916-766-5105 now. Make the smart move. Text DIGITAL to 916-766-5105. Put the power of Amazon to work for you. Text DIGITAL, that's DIGITAL, to 916-766-5105.
It's the model year-end sales event at Acura of Stockton. Elevate your driving experience with a vehicle that's built to impress. Lease a new Acura RDX or MDX. Acura of Stockton has a great selection of new Acuras and customer service that will exceed your expectations. Take luxury to a whole new level in a new Acura from Acura of Stockton or AcuraofStockton.com, where precision-crafted performance is at your fingertips.
The game of football is about pain. Ever since I was 5 years old, it's been all about football. It's been about running, jumping, blocking, tackling. I stopped playing at 31.
You're listening to Michael Robinson, retired pro fullback.
I thought that foot pain was going to be with me for the rest of my life. I'm so glad I met Good Feet. I'm so glad that those arch supports are in my shoes. I have terrible foot issues that prevented me from really having a normal life with my kids. With the Good Feet arch supports, man, I'm always ready. My kids actually got to enjoy me in the yard more, racing each other, backpedaling, teaching them some things, being a dad. If I had known about the Good Feet arch support earlier, I would have more than one championship. I would have 2 championship rings.
See what we can do for you with a free personalized arch support fitting at the Good Feet store.
The Good Feet store in Sacramento, Roseville, Stockton, Modesto, and Vacaville.
Does your dog leave frowny piles of poo around the yard? Do you know that a solid poo is one of the best indicators of your dog's gut health? Supreme Source Super Premium Dog Food is made with organic super seaweed and other powerful antioxidants, supporting a healthy digestive system. Real protein is always the first ingredient, plus a blend of essential vitamins and minerals that help support your dog's overall health and well-being. Do their digestion a solid, literally. Find Supreme Source Premium Dog Food at Safeway, Save Mart, and Smart & Final, or a local grocery store near you.
Sacramento's official home for the San Francisco 49ers.
Sactown Sports.
Yeah, we got interesting 49er news today with word that Brock Purdy is in concussion protocol. So his status for this Sunday against the Bengals is unclear. Speaking of Bengals, homecoming night for Sacramento State football is this Saturday versus Idaho State. There, also the Bengals. Kickoff 6 p.m. Come early. Enjoy the festivities. Get your tickets at hornetsports.com. But we're focusing on the opening night of the Kings season. Kyle Draper's in Salt Lake City, where he's got the call tonight. You got anything special planned for the opening night play-by-play, Kyle, that you can share with us?
Oh, man, you put me on the spot here, Whitey. Other than a fantastic call with my partner, Katie. And
that's special enough.
Yeah, exactly. And maybe some new catchphrases or something like that. May have to dust some things off. But no, man, it's as excited as I am. This is one of 82. We're supposed to handle our business, act like you've been there before. And so I'm not going to celebrate or anything like Magic Johnson with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar hit the game winning hook shot. And it's one of 82. And so I'm going to pace myself this season.
By the way, that game you're talking about, that was Magic's first game. And Compio on the chat, remember, he says he was there. He says, and I believe it.
Compio.
He's kind of like Forrest Gump. He was everywhere.
Hey, I tell you what, we're celebrating 100 years of Kings basketball. Compio was at the first one 100 years ago. Trust me, when they were the Rochester Seagrams or something like that, I think it was called. Yeah. I'm still trying to figure out how have they been around 100 years when the NBA's only been around since
46, whatever. But that's one of the things that makes the season so special. You mentioned the Warriors before we went to break, and here's one of the things that bugs me about the Warriors, and it's not even their fault. Here's a story, top headlines, ESPN, the NBA top headlines. One of them is, the Warriors lost last night, right? One of the top headlines is, Paul hears CP3 chants as Dubs tout chemistry. They lost the game, right? I mean, how is that a top headline? It reminds me of something that the great Nick Friedel told us years ago. This is a couple of years ago. And in his ESPN meetings, he said they would sit down with all the ESPN NBA reporters, and they would tell them, look, just so you know, this is what we focus on. One is LeBron and everything that has to do with LeBron. Two, and there's a big gap, Steph and everything that has to do with Steph. And then three, way down below Steph, is everything else. And so that's part of the problem. Right. It's not the Warriors' fault, but ESPN just beats us over the head with anything Warriors or LeBron related.
Let me ask you this, because I hear what you're saying, Whitey, and I understand we're being beat over the head with LeBron, nonstop LeBron, Warriors. Do you think ESPN would change if it didn't make the money? And what I'm saying is, sure, we want to see some other teams. We want the Kings, but nationally, the Kings don't, they're not on that level. I'm just, keeping it real.
Yes.
And so the reason ESPN bashes us with the Lakers all the time, the reason the Lakers are on TV all the time, LeBron all the time, is because it makes them money. I think sometimes we forget ESPN is a business, and it's to get people to tune in and talk about it, whether you love it or hate it. People have an opinion on LeBron. People have an opinion on the Warriors. People have an opinion on Steph Curry. And so I just, I get it. I understand. Trust me. I would like to see, more coverage of our Sacramento Kings, more coverage of some of the other teams out there. But, it's like
You're
Jordan
right.
back in the day.
Yeah.
It's like Lakers Celtics back in the 80s. It felt like they were on national TV all the time, even though they only played each other twice a year. But it felt like that was the only two teams in the league back then.
You're absolutely right, but both things can be true. It's like, yes, I understand that, but it's like Dan Orlovsky when he went on somebody's podcast and he said, all we talk about on ESPN is the Cowboys. I get so sick of talking about the Cowboys. You know why they do it, but still at the same time, you get a little weary of it, especially like I say, an example like today, where the Warriors lost, and the story is Paul hears chants and Dubs out chemistry. They lost the game, and he was 4 for 15.
I'm with you. I think the story of that game is that Phoenix got the win. A, B, Wiggins benched to end the game. Is C, and so I hear you. Of course, he's going to get cheers. Like he's playing in front of the home crowd. And so. I hear you on that. It's there were several other things though in that game that they could have focused on.
How about Josh Okogie last night? My goodness, he was everywhere.
And that was the big key, right, for the Suns. Like we wanted to know what kind of depth did they have. The others outside of KD and Devin Booker played pretty well. Okogie, you mentioned. I thought Nurkic played well.
Yeah.
I actually like the way he fits in. And then you add in a Brad Beal, and so you don't need Okogie as much, and so I thought Okogie, what he does is he brings a toughness, I think, to that Phoenix Suns team, a little edge, a little swagger as well. And so they look much better than I thought they would, to be honest with you, to start off the season.
I know you're higher on them than I am, but I mean, they looked really good last night. I was just wondering, though, you have the new player participation policy, so there's no load management. So where's Bradley? It's the first game. Where's Bradley Beal?
He's obviously not going for any awards, right? That's 65 games ain't going to matter to him.
He
missed the freaking opener. He had all off season to chill and rest, and they're saying they're going to be cautious with his back and everything. But it's the opener, national TV, the one game everybody been waiting for. And nope, he's not playing. That was pretty bad.
And they win anyway. The news on James Harden. Speaking of superstars, James Harden. And again, Kyle's the one that shared the story with me. That's how I found out. James Harden rejoining his teammates for practice today, but he's not going to be traveling to Milwaukee for the Sixers season opener against the Bucks tomorrow or to Toronto to face the Raptors on Saturday. So he's rejoining the team, but he's been gone so long, they got to get him back into shape. So he might play Sunday in their home opener against the Trailblazers. So James Harden's back with the Sixers, kind of, but not really.
I mean, did he expect to just show up with a suitcase? All right, guys, I'm ready for the team flight. Like, I just don't get it. And, if I'm Nick Nurse, you're in a difficult position because this is one thing I know about Nick Nurse. He's a no-nonsense kind of guy. He doesn't hesitate to call out players or bench players or, let players know, the way he wants things done. But when you're dealing with a guy like James Harden, it's almost like you got to, have kid gloves with him and, sort of massage him a little bit. And so he's in a tough position. I think it's the right move to leave him home for these first couple of games. I mean, the dude's been gone. He hasn't played in a single preseason game, and then all of a sudden is going to show up and expect to go on the road trip to start the season. And so maybe, just maybe, this gives Daryl Morey some more time to work out a deal. I wonder, are they going to send him home? Are they going to eventually welcome him back in with open arms? It's a tough situation out there in Philly.
Yeah, and as you said, for Nick Nurse, what's he supposed to do? He was asked today, well, did James, did he practice? And he said, well, he was out there some, but besides getting him into game shape, I got to get the team ready to play Giannis. So, that was really my priority. I think if you're Nick Nurse, you just have to say, I'm not going to get caught up in the madness between the GM and the player, and I'll just deal with it as best I can. Right. And then they'll have to sort that out. And in the meantime, I got to do what's best for the team.
Yeah. I'm here to coach the guys that are here kind of thing. And, real quick, Whitey, I'm here at Delta Center, and some of the players are coming on the court. First player out here, Jordan Ford. Second player out here, our guy, Kobe Jones.
Yeah.
That's right. Kobe Jones is in the building, and Keon Ellis. So some of the young guys arriving early to get their work in.
When we come back, we'll tell you why Mike Brown was so unhappy yesterday as we get ready for the Kings opening the season tonight against the Jazz right here on Sactown Sports.
Trying to find out where to catch your favorite team's games?
Are you a fan of the Kings, Niners, and the NFL? Well, Sactown Sports has you covered.
Touchdown! San Francisco! It's all on his shoulders. Cox rocks. He fires for the win. He's got the triple.
Catch all your Kings, Niners, and NFL games all year long on Sactown Sports and SactownSports.com.
All new spring deals are here at Lowe's. Start planting your garden this weekend with Bonnie 11.8-ounce vegetables. Buy 4 for $10. Plus, liven up your patios and decks with fresh blooms. Select 1.5-gallon hanging baskets or 2 for $20. Lowe's knows spring. Lowe's knows home improvement. Offers valid through 5/17. In-store only. Actual plant size and selection varies by location. While supplies last, excludes Alaska and Hawaii.
If you're a business owner, Mercedes-Benz of Stockton invites you to take advantage of a 4.9% APR for up to 36 months on select 2022 and 2023 Mercedes-Benz Sprinter vans. And since new Sprinters qualify for the generous Section 179 tax deduction for business vehicles, you can save thousands. Mercedes-Benz of Stockton, sales, service, and a dedicated commercial vehicle department to help your company with any job. See our inventory at mbofstockton.com.
Individual rates, offerings, and savings may vary, subject to terms and conditions. Not available in all states and situations.
Hey, small business owner. Are you ready to have the best year ever in 2024? When's the last time you checked your workers' comp rate? For many small businesses, workers' comp insurance is one of their biggest costs. But Pi Insurance could save you up to 30% in just 3 minutes. Go to trypi.com, share a few details about your business, and get a quote that's customized for your business. No hassles or hidden fees. We know you're busy, but spending just a few minutes to check your rate could make this your best year ever. Plus, when you sign up for pay-as-you-go billing, your premium is based on your actual payroll, not an estimate. So your workers' comp audit experience is simplified. See how much you could save with Pi Insurance. Ask your agent for Pi or get a quote at trypi.com. That's TRYPIE.com.
The 49ers Report, brought to you by EB Stone. EB Stone, for the life of your garden.
Another heartbreaking loss on the road for the 49ers, dropping their second game of the season to Minnesota, 22-17. Quarterback Kirk Cousins torched the 49ers defense for 378 passing yards, a season high allowed by the red and gold. The 49ers had a chance to win the game late, but two costly fourth-quarter interceptions by Brock Purdy doomed the team to the loss. The red and gold will look to bounce back in Week 8, hosting Cincinnati at Levi Stadium.
With over 100 years as a family-owned company, EB Stones learned a few things about making plants grow. Start a healthy family hobby with indoor planting with EB Stones' Edna's Best indoor and outdoor potting soil to help your little plants grow into the perfect indoor plant for the kids and family to enjoy. EB Stone's indoor and outdoor potting soil is perfectly blended with all the important ingredients you need to create that perfect indoor and outdoor plant or garden. EB Stone, for the life of your garden. Visit ebstone.org for more gardening tips, products, and
KHTKAM Sacramento, KYMX HD2 Sacramento. From the Power Business Technology Toshiba Studios, your new home for 49ers football in the 916.
Sactown Sports.
Sactown Sports.
Headlines.
Happy Wednesday and happy opening night, Kings fans. I'm Simone, and these are your Sactown Sports headlines. Unfortunately, we start with reports coming out of Santa Clara and the Faithful camp. San Francisco 49ers quarterback Brock Purdy has entered concussion protocol, according to head coach Kyle Shanahan. Speculation indicates that Brock Purdy is now unlikely to play on Sunday versus the Bengals based on concussion protocol trends and procedures. For more on this developing story, head to SactownSports.com. Of course, tonight, the Sacramento Kings open up the 2023-24 regular season from Salt Lake City as they try to boogie down with the Jazz. The Drive Guys will be lacing you up with the latest roster notes, predictions, and need-to-knows, cruising you right up until game night coverage beginning at 4:30 with Scott Marsh and Henry Turner, followed by tip-off at 6 p.m. I'm Simone. Those are your headlines. Welcome back in to more Drive Guys.
Your home for Kings basketball for over 25 seasons.
Sactown Sports.
Finally, the Kings season getting underway tonight. And Kyle Draper has the call for us on TV. He joins us now, the Drive Guys from Salt Lake City. Before we get back to the Kings, Kyle, it's interesting. Simone just with the update there had the latest on Brock Purdy. It's interesting to me that I don't think anyway, the 49ers say they're not really sure where he sustained the concussion. There were a handful of plays in that game where he got bumped in the helmet. It was an unsuccessful sneak where he got smoked. Could have been there. There was a play where he got pushed into the helmet of, I think, Jalen Moore. They had helmet-to-helmet contact there because he was pushed. So not that it matters, but typically you have a pretty good idea where a guy is injured, but given that he didn't have the symptoms till later, they're not even sure upon which play he sustained the concussion.
Yeah, and that's always tough, right? Usually what you see is a guy gets hit and they get up a little woozy, a little shaky, and then you can administer that and take him out of the game. No one knew that Brock Purdy was shaken up until today, actually. And like Shanahan said, you guys saw him after the game. You saw him in the press conference afterwards, and he looked fine. And, the NFL, I know, is trying to crack down on these things, identify these things when they happen. But, watching the game, we didn't see anything out of the ordinary. Sure, he got hit a couple times, but nothing that we thought, would lead to this. And for this to come out today, getting ready for a Bengals team that's, on the upstart right now. And obviously without Debo, it's tough news for the Niners.
Well, I knew something was wrong when he threw the 2 interceptions. Like Brock didn't you know?
You're like, that's
something's wrong. Yeah. I thought maybe concussion. You probably felt the same way, right, Kyle? I was like, Brock doesn't do that.
Yeah, I'm like, you know what? When he threw the first one, I immediately thought, and then the second one, I immediately thought of what you said last week, and when I said, if Brock throws a couple of picks, you're like, he doesn't do that. That's not Brock Purdy. You must be thinking of Josh Allen. That's somebody else. And so when he did throw, I immediately thought of you, and I was like,
did too.
Man. And so, hold up. Maybe that was part of the problem for Brock Purdy. I'll give him an out on that one.
But that's true. I thought of that too, because I think it was Monday, and I remember that too. You said, let's just say Brock throws a couple interceptions, and interrupted. Right. He doesn't do that.
Right.
And then I was like, oh my goodness. Yeah. So more importantly, of course, hopefully he's okay. The Kings get ready to open the season against the Jazz, as you know. I know you had to fly yesterday.
Yes.
Did you attend practice yesterday?
I did not attend practice. Yesterday was super crazy, man.
Sure.
Stuff and everything, packing, trying to get ready. I did not attend practice. Good thing I did know. It sounds like Mike Brown was a little fired up yesterday.
Yeah, a little bit. Brendan Nunes has a story at Sactownsports.com. And Mike Brown, they ran a drill, did the Kings. You had the first and second units playing 2 minutes of 5-on-5 to simulate clutch scenarios. So that's 5-on-5, 2 minutes, clutch scenarios. According to Brendan, both teams scored every time down the floor, except for one turnover from Duarte and a missed free throw from De'Aaron Fox. And then the whistle blew, and Mike Brown claimed it was the worst 5-minute drill he'd ever seen and demanded better going forward. And I'm not trying to paint a bleak picture before the opener, but it's just interesting the contrast here, Kyle, between, his fans were so excited, and then the coach clearly is focusing on improvement, specifically in the defensive area.
Yeah, and I think what you're seeing from Mike Brown is, he's trying to hold these guys accountable. I think, obviously he preached defense last year, but I feel like he's getting on these guys a little more this year, getting on them harder this year. And I think he understands what's at stake here. These guys have to understand you're not going to win every game 130, 128, and you're not going to sneak up on anybody. Teams know who you are offensively. And so, one thing about Mike Brown, from the day he walked in that door inside Golden One Center in the Sacramento Kings facility, he talked about championship. And this is a guy that knows what it takes to win a championship. And if he doesn't get the buy-in defensively from this team, there's a lot of talk, that, Chris Mannix, I think, wrote about it. The Kings will be a great regular season team, but they'll flame out again in the postseason. And I think that's what Mike Brown, his eyes are on. It's not about game 1 or game 20, game 30. It's about the total picture and getting this team to where it needs to be to compete for a championship. And so I like hard-nosed Mike Brown. I like angry Mike Brown, because these guys got to understand it's not all soft and sweet anymore. Last year was last year. This is a new year.
And sometimes a coach, after an extended period, the players just tune him out, but we're nowhere near that. You're there all the time. It seems to me like everything he says, the players definitely resonates with them. They're nowhere. They listen to him. They hear what he's saying. It's just they're having a hard time putting it all into practice right now.
Yeah, but what needs to happen, Whitey, when you look at a coach, there's always an extension of him on the floor, a player who sort of embodies what the coach wants to be. Who's that guy, for the Sacramento Kings that's getting on his teammates, that, are holding guys accountable? Is it De'Aaron Fox? We know Fox wants to be a two-way player. But when you look at, the best defensive teams, I constantly go back to Boston, Marcus Smart. I can go to Memphis as well. Dylan Brooks, Desmond Bane. Who's that guy, even with the Warriors, Draymond Green? Who's that guy that's going to get angry, bark at his teammates for missed assignments? Kevin Huerter, aren't you tired of getting beat one-on-one? Domas, come on, step up and block that. We need somebody on the floor. It can't always be on the coaches to want to be a great defensive team. I want to see something from the players that shows me they want to be great defensively.
Yeah, and Mike Brown addressed that as well yesterday. He said it starts with Fox and Domas for sure, but everybody falls in line with that. It can be anybody. In Golden State, he says it was Iguodala. In Cleveland, he says way back when, he says it was Eric Snow. He didn't even start for us. So, and to me, he's talking there just to what you said. He's not talking about who needs to play better defense, just who's going to set the tone for us, not only with how they play, but just holding everybody else accountable and doing the job that traditionally coaches do.
Yeah, and one guy, and we've talked about this, and I'm sure fans see it, Domantas Sabonis can be that guy. You can tell when he's out on the floor, a guy misses an assignment or something, he's talking to him. You see some of the frustration sometimes on him. Maybe he takes a bigger role in that area, because it has to be on the players too. You can't have guys just, not bothered by giving up 120 points per game. That should piss players off. And so who's going to set that tone? I would like to see De'Aaron Fox from a perimeter standpoint tonight, whoever's starting that point guard for the Utah Jazz, De'Aaron Fox saying, I got him, make his life a living hell. I want Foxy to have 2 to 3 steals per game. I want him to be in the passing lanes. And, he can be that guy. And I know people say, well, he got to score on the other end. So what? If you want to be one of the game's greatest players, you got to do it on both ends. And we think De'Aaron Fox is able to do that.
Hey, as excited as we are about tonight, I know when it comes right down to it, we're fans like everybody else, no matter what, you're calling the game tonight. But how big do you think tonight is for the NBA with Wemby making his debut?
Yeah. I'm a little upset. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to watch that one because of the time and timing of everything. I think, you know what, we got to see this guy, during the summer league, and I thought, man, it's going to take him a while. Just didn't look good, but he looked tremendous in the preseason. And I had Chet Holmgren as my rookie of the year. I'm going to amend that right now and say it's Victor Wembanyama by a landslide. This will be a unanimous rookie of the year vote because this guy is so great on both ends of the floor. I mean, he could lead the league in block shots and average 20 plus points per game this season.
Yeah, and it's so great for the league because we were talking earlier about Magic Johnson's first game when Compio was there, and that was huge. That was during an era where some of the NBA games had been tape delayed, but I remember that game was on, and I think it might have been tape delayed, but it was on national TV because it was Magic's first game. We remember, of course, way back when, maybe we don't remember, but when Lou Alcindor came into the league, that was huge. And LeBron's first game was a massive affair right here in Sacramento. So it's rare. Every year we get excited about the first pick, but it's been a long time since we've had somebody who has a chance to be as special as Wembanyama apparently can be, and as specialized he's already proven to be so far.
Yeah. And I'm trying to think, we were excited about Zion, but I don't know, to me, this is like rivaling LeBron James.
Yes.
You got to go back 20 years, once in a generational kind of thing. You mentioned Lou Alcindor as well. To me, when I look at it, those are probably the three, talking about Lou Alcindor, LeBron, and Victor Wembanyama, the three most hype rookie debuts that I can think of.
Yeah, so a great night for the league, and it's great to have basketball back, and fingers crossed for the Kings tonight. We're looking forward to bringing you the game right here on Sactown Sports. When we come right back after a quick timeout, 3 biggest questions the Kings must answer starting tonight. I got some thoughts on that, Kyle. We'd love to know what you think about 3 big questions the Kings must answer this year starting tonight. That's next with the Drive Guys on Sactown Sports.
What's the latest with the San Francisco 49ers? Carmichael, Dave, and Jason Ross keep you up to date on all things red and gold during the Niners at 9 every weekday at 9 a.m. on Sactown Sports at SactownSports.com.
Exergen thermometers are proven to be more accurate than non-contact thermometers. With children back at school, keeping them healthy is important. Clinical studies have proven that non-contact thermometers are inaccurate and can miss fevers. Accuracy matters. That's why the Exergen thermometer is trusted and used by medical professionals. Exergen thermometers are available at Walgreens and other participating retailers. Choose a trusted and accurate thermometer for personal use. Learn more about why accuracy matters at Exergen.com.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, your favorite drafts are poured at a frosty 29 degrees. It's bigger game days and bolder fight nights. I mean, where else can you find a scratch kitchen that always comes in clutch? Every day, from lunch to late night. Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
Get wings the way you want them. Try Twin Peaks wings bone-in breaded, naked, smoked and grilled, or boneless in your favorite sauce or rub.
Flagship station for the Beam Team, Sactown Sports.
We're going to light the beam tonight, right? Kyle Draper, it's Whitey Gleason, Kyle Draper. Drapes is in Salt Lake City. I mean, let's just get it started tonight, right? Why wait any longer? Light the beam tonight, right?
Yeah, I say why not? And I guess it's a brighter beam. People have been posting pictures and everything. I guess they tested it out the other night. And, when we land in Sacramento, hopefully around 11:30, midnight tonight, I'll be able to see that beam when I'm driving home.
Yeah. How tough is this matchup for the beleaguered, well, shouldn't say beleaguered, A lot of people are not sure what to make of the Kings defensively. What kind of problems does Utah uniquely pose for this Kings defense tonight?
Well, this is a different Utah team than what we've seen, last year. Obviously, the addition of John Collins. Remember, let's not forget about him starting in Atlanta for so many years. And so I think this is a Utah team that spreads you out. They have some toughness. Lowry Markkanen is probably one of the toughest covers in all of the NBA. And when you look at, Utah and what they were able to do last season, they were ninth in the NBA in offensive rating, but they aren't that great defensively, and so I think that could be an area in which you can they were 23rd last year defensively, right alongside Sacramento. And so, I think you're going to expect a high-scoring game tonight. I think the Kings' offense will be flowing, and so this may be one of those Mike Brown kind of games where, you know what? The defense, let's see if you can step up. I know you can score, but let's see if you can get some stops against a very good Utah offense.
Yeah, so that's why we saw a couple really close games last year, right? Two problems at the other end.
Yeah, exactly. And I mentioned, it was earlier this show or maybe in the crossover, De'Aaron Fox just seems to get up for these games. Let's not forget he had that game winner here inside Delta Center a season ago. Lowry Markkanen was 0.2 seconds late on that 3-point shot that would have gave the Jazz a win. It's just something about these two teams where they go back and forth with each other. And I will say, I feel like this Utah team with Talen Horton-Tucker, they're sort of a hard-nosed kind of team as well. And so it's going to be a challenge tonight.
I know you said you hung out with Danny Ainge, and you know Danny from your Boston days. I think he's a brilliant talent evaluator. Some of the things he did to put the Celtics in position to contend, and now some of the things he's done there. I think as far as figuring out how to, manage your assets as a GM, I think he's excellent.
Yes.
He's got a great nose and eye for talent.
Yeah, I agree with you. And let's go back to that Donovan Mitchell trade and what they were able to do with Donovan Mitchell. You trade him to Cleveland and you get Lowry Markkanen, who, hadn't really done anything, a solid player. Then all of a sudden he becomes a all-star. A guy like Walker Kessler, in that Minnesota trade to the Rudy Gobert trade. Now, all of a sudden, he's on Team USA. And so, the reputation, when you talk to people around Utah and you read some of the things being written about them, is that they're sort of a place where players come to sort of, a reclamation project, if you will, come to, reset your career. I mentioned Markkanen. What about Colin Sexton? A chance for him to get it back. What about John Collins as well? And so I think this Utah team, and they still have a ton of draft picks as well. And so I think Danny Ainge, he has a reputation as Trader Danny. The joke in Boston was, if you see Danny Ainge calling you, better not answer if you're an opposing team, because he's going to swindle you.
Here's why I think these are the three biggest questions facing the Kings. And if you have any thoughts on what questions you would like or feel the Kings need to answer this year, 339-1140, 1-800-920-1140. You can text us. You can comment in the chat here. What questions do the Kings need to answer? What do you think of these three, Kyle? I think, obviously, can they improve on defense is a huge one, especially with an emphasis on how physically can they get defensively? How much can they impose their will physically defensively? 2 is Keegan Murray, and can he continue to become the player that the Kings, I think, need him to be? And then thirdly, they can they get more all NBA level play out of Fox and Sabonis? To me, those are the three biggest questions that they have to answer this year.
Yeah, I like those questions. Obviously, Keegan, to me is probably going to be, the biggest question mark in terms of where this team can go. If he plays well, Mike Brown thinks he's the key. I was watching a clip from Matt Barnes' podcast, All the Smoke, with Mike Brown, and he was asked, who's that guy you're looking to be part of a big three? And he, without hesitation, said Keegan Murray. Defensively, that's always going to be a question mark with this team, right? That's always going to be a concern. And so how can they come out and compete defensively? I will say, regarding Fox and Domas, I think what we saw from Domantas Sabonis last season, third-team All-NBA All-Star for the third time, 19, 12, and 7, that's a ho-hum game for Domantas Sabonis. And so I think, I have no question that he'll put up similar numbers this season. Can De'Aaron Fox maintain that high level of play, which we saw last year, 25 points per game, better than 6 assists per game, clutch player of the year, most clutch points in the NBA? Can he continue what he did last season? It was such a magical year. I think, him in the clutch is going to be key, but hopefully, and why do you agree? Hopefully it's not all on Fox. Hopefully we don't say, all right, Darren, come rescue us now because we got Keegan Murray ready to step up. We got Domantas Sabonis ready to step up. So it shouldn't be all on Fox in the fourth quarter this season.
Yeah, so if I understand you and I agree with you, I think what you're saying is you look for levels of improvement in players, what they're capable of. Domas is pretty much, it's not fair to expect him to do much more than he's done, whereas Fox probably does have another level if he can figure out how to get there.
100%. We talked obviously about him defensively, but I think he could be an even more efficient scorer offensively. Like, let's get him start to knock down a little more threes, become, instead of a 32% three-point shooter, become a 36 three-point shooter. I mentioned some of the splits. I think he was 40% at home, 30% on the road.
I didn't realize that. That's
like
really interesting. I hadn't realized that.
Yeah, exactly. I looked at at those splits, and so there's room for him to develop. There's room for him to grow. And you talk to Mike Brown. Mike says it's just the tip of the iceberg we're seeing from De'Aaron Fox.
Do we just have to wait and see what Sasha is? We know what he can become. Yeah. We would love for him to be, oh, yeah, that guy was a EuroLeague MVP. Look, that's why from opening night. But it's probably going to take some time for him to get his sea legs.
Yeah, I had a long conversation with somebody on the staff about Sasha today, as a matter of fact. And, they did not seem concerned at all about Sasha and his ability to translate to the NBA, because they were saying, first of all, he's a EuroLeague MVP, and I don't think people understand what that means. That's the second best league in the entire world. It's not like he was going up against scrubs or anything like that. And he's mature. He's a developed player. It's not like, he's an 18-year-old that's going to take some time to develop. He is who he is. I think, when we talk about Sasha and adapting to the American game, I think it's actually going to go quicker than maybe I thought. A week ago. I think, by mid-November, we'll see Sasha very comfortable. I think what we're seeing now, and we saw in the preseason, is him trying to figure out his spots, Whitey, because we've talked about he had the ball a lot in his hands over out there in Greece. Now he's trying to figure out how to play with Domas, how to play with Fox, where to pick his spots. And I think that's the part that's going to take some time.
Yeah, well, we know that he's shown he's excellent at playing without the ball, but obviously you still got to figure out what the guys with the ball are doing, how to be most effective. He's going to have to make shots or else you can't play him because he's so questionable defensively. But, I mean, the shot's going to come, right? That's one thing I think we know.
Yeah, I think so. When you watch Sasha tonight, and this is for the listeners and everybody out, look at the quality of shots he takes. Because in this offense, open looks should not be a problem. I think the problem that Sasha had in the preseason is he was forcing it a little too much, looking for it a little too much instead of letting it come to him. This offense is designed to produce open looks. And so you don't have to force anything. It's Mike Brown, when you watch him coach, it's not about, going one-on-one or, make the extra pass and let it fly. No hesitation, that kind of thing. And I think at times Sasha, he predetermined he was going to shoot the ball when he got it instead of actually reading the defense and taking his time.
What is it going to take, circling back to what you said earlier about Fox, and, you hope that the offense gets to a point where they're not just relying on Fox to ride to the rescue every game in the fourth quarter. How much of that is on him to trust his teammates more, to give them opportunities? We know he's great, truly great at getting to the bottom of the circle when he needs to in the fourth quarter. So how do we figure that out? How does the offense get more diversified at the end of games? How much of that is actually on him?
Man, that's a great question. And, I'm sitting here trying to think of the answer. We also have to realize Fox is still developing too. He's not trying to figure out his game, still trying to assert himself as well. And so what you see from great players is They know they can get their shot anytime. They know Fox now knows he can go out there and get you 25, 30 points every given night. Now let's see if he can make some of the other players around him better. Can he get Kevin Huerter some open looks? Can he get Chris Duarte some open looks? And so it's difficult, though, Whitey, because De'Aaron Fox is not your prototypical point guard, right?
He's also so good at it, too. It's
right.
Like, why,
He's so good.
why
He's
change
like,
it?
Why,
yeah.
Right. If nobody can stop me, why do I need to slow down? But a lot of times it's run through Domas, too. And so it's hard to, I think last year he had this mentality, fourth quarter was his time.
Mm-hmm.
Get out the way. Give me the ball. I got this. And he's shown he can do it.
Yes.
I would like to see some other guys help him out, too.
What would you think in some situations? Obviously, when he's dominating, you don't change it up, but maybe playing him off the ball down the stretch a time or two.
No, I agree, but who's handling it? That's the question.
Kobe Jones.
Kobe.
Come on.
Your boy Kobe in clutch time down the stretch, tied game, 2 minutes left. Throwing Kobe Jones. Whitey said it. Maybe, but maybe it's Malik Monk handling the rock a little more with De'Aaron Fox off the ball in that respect.
Yeah. Good to have options anyway, and it all gets rolling tonight. By the way, real quick, did you see what Giannis said about his contract? Giannis said about his new deal with the Bucks. He said, I wanted to stay here. He said, I didn't even look at the numbers. And I love Giannis, but can I should we be buying that?
Come on, bro. Come on. That's the first thing you look at, right?
I didn't even look at the numbers. I just give it to me and I'll sign it.
Well, either he's lying or he has way too much money that he can do with. Like, whatever it is, I'll take it. I don't even care about the number. Whatever. I know it's a couple $100 million. I mean, it's ridiculous. That's the first thing you look at, right? Even when I signed a contract with the Kings, I scroll down to the compensation part first before anything else.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what, whether they win a lot of games or not, the Dame trade has already worked because they got Giannis to sign.
Yes.
And that was the most important thing for them. When we come back, you're not going to believe this. We have a national view of the Kings that is actually positive, and we'll take a look at that when we come right back here. It's the Drive Guys on Sactown Sports.
The 82-game NBA journey begins Wednesday for the Sacramento Kings.
He's got the triple. Sacramento takes the lead. Outstanding ball movement by Sacramento.
The G-Man Gary Gerald has all the play-by-play Wednesday of season number 39 in Sacramento.
Sabonis with the jam over the Joker.
It's the Kings and Jazz in the season opener from Utah.
He's got the three-point shot.
Wednesday at 6 on your home of the Kings, Sactown Sports.
Your health is important, so keep yourself and your family covered with Medi-Cal. Medi-Cal renewals will be happening soon, so if you have Medi-Cal, make sure you don't miss any important renewal information. If you've moved in the last 3 years, check and update your mailing address, email address, and phone number. Learn more at keepmedicalcoverage.org. That's keepmedicalcoverage.org. Paid for by the California Department of Healthcare Services.
In business, service is everything. Cintas delivers what you need to better serve your customers. Whether it's freshly laundered work apparel for almost any job imaginable, tested and inspected fire protection systems, first aid and safety supplies, on-site AED training, or mops and restroom products, stocked and ready when you need them. Better work days happen together. So visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
Igor, my faithful companion, it is time to prepare for the night. The shadows grow long, and the creatures of the night stir with excitement.
Yes, Master Dracula. What do you require of me?
I need you to fire up the hearse. Elk Grove Kia is having a Halloween sale that is to die for. We're going to upgrade to a new car worthy of the Prince of Darkness. I'm so excited. It is making my blood shiver.
But Master, with your credit history, aren't you worried you're going to get turned down?
Igor, shut up. Elk Grove Kia's finance department has over 100 years of experience. They can even get me approved, even with my troubled past. And Elk Grove Kia's exclusive 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty on all new Kias, it's almost like having an immortal car.
Elk Grove Kia's Halloween sale is so good, it's scaring the competition. In fact, it's so scary, we can't even advertise the pricing. So whether you're in need of a new or used car, make your way to Elk Grove Kia in the Elk Grove Auto Mall, or visit us at elkgrovekia.com. The City of Sacramento offers grass conversion rebates to help you replace your thirsty lawn with a naturally water-efficient landscape. Whether you own a home or business in Sacramento, you may be eligible. Learn more at sacwaterwise.com.
When every shot counts, the professionals at the Hagen Oaks Player Performance Studio encourage you to try the brand new Titleist T-Series irons. Irons designed to enhance your play through control, distance, flight, forgiveness, looks, sound, and feel. With 4 T-Series models, the fitting team at Hagen Oaks will find the perfect Titleist T-Series iron for you. Call 916-808-2531 to find your fit today. Hagen Oaks Golf Super Shop, Fulton Avenue at the Cap City Freeway, or online at hagenoaks.com.
Guys, did you know your testosterone level impacts your energy, libido, sleep, weight, hair loss, mood, and even ED? And right now, Revive Men's Health Sacramento will check your testosterone for free. They've helped thousands of men since 2011 feel and perform better. They're so confident they can help you, they even guarantee it. Schedule your free testosterone test, exam, and consultation today. Call 916-277-8599. That's 916-277-8599. Or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com.
Hey, it's Carmichael Dave for my good friends at Fire Wings with some bullet points for you to remember so you can be a professional fire wing eater. Like Wings Day Wednesday, 88-cent wings each and every Wednesday. 3 flavor lineup includes 7 classic wing flavors, 7 dry rub wing flavors, 7 fusion wing flavors. It's the perfect fast casual eating establishment for the entire family. Go to firewings.com or download the app, find a location near you, order online, earn rewards. Fire Wings, just wing it.
At aimyourdigital.com, we'll help you find the right customers. Spread awareness of your product or services. We can help build trust in your brand and services with a digital marketing campaign. Increase leads and get more customers. We create tailored digital marketing campaigns that deliver results. Don't wait. Get started today. Contact aimyourdigital.com. That's aimyourdigital.com and start seeing results.
Want the best movie experience in town? Join Sactown Sports' IMAX Pass by visiting SactownSports.com and sign up today. You can win tickets to see this week's film at the Esquire IMAX Theater.
Sactown Sports
Headlines. Happy Wednesday and happy opening night, Kings fans. I'm Simone, and these are your Sactown Sports headlines. Unfortunately, we start with reports coming out of Santa Clara and the Faithful camp. San Francisco 49ers quarterback Brock Purdy has entered concussion protocol, according to head coach Kyle Shanahan. Speculation indicates that Brock Purdy is now unlikely to play on Sunday versus the Bengals based on concussion protocol trends and procedures. For more on this developing 23-24 regular season from Salt Lake City as they tried to boogie down with the Jazz. The Drive guys will be lacing you up with the latest roster notes, predictions, and need-to-knows, cruising you right up until game night coverage beginning at 4:30 with Scott Marsh and Henry Turner, followed by tip-off at 6 p.m.
Should we light the beam?
I'm Simone. Those are your headlines. Welcome back in to more Drive guys.
Live and local, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., Monday through Friday. Sactown Sports.
Whitey Gleason in Sacramento, Kyle Draper in Salt Lake City, getting ready to bring us the TV call of the opener. Would you believe this? Kyle actually found a couple examples of national media love for the Kings. How about that? Can you believe that?
Really?
Yes. Yes. It's rare these days, isn't it?
I know, right?
Yeah.
What you got for me?
Well, let's start with last night. You may have seen this. Charles Barkley last night. Apparently, he's not a big Warrior guy. So, so Charles Barkley, at one point, they're showing highlights of the Warrior loss. And at one point, there was, unfortunately, a lady, appeared to be an older lady, just because she had gray hair and she was not walking really well. But she had some sort of incident at courtside. So they had to stop the game. And then she was escorted off the floor. And as she did so, fans were cheering her. And this clearly an old lady, she raised a Warrior towel and she started waving it, and everybody started cheering her. And here's what Charles Barkley had to say about that.
But look at this. She's waving the towel on the way out. And you know what?
After that, what happened?
Golden State went on a 25-4 run after that incident.
That lady that got it, Chuck. That lady's about the same age as the Warrior starters.
Whoa. Taking shots
I love it.
at the Warriors. And then Charles Barkley also, he's already saying the Warriors are done. And he says I think he said they're the worst team in the state of California.
Yes. And the Warriors are the fourth best team in California, in my opinion. Fourth best. So why do you not think much of Golden State? Old people don't get better; they just get older. I just don't like their team going forward. They've had a great run, great organization, but the Lakers, Sacramento, and the Clippers are all better than the Warriors.
Charles Barkley.
Love it.
How about that? Yeah. Kind of a glancing blow for the King. I mean, but we'll take that, right?
Yeah. You don't want to be praised by Charles Barkley because his predictions are always wrong. But okay, I'm cool with this one, and he's right, man. Steph Curry's 35, Draymond 33. When you look at Clay, he's 33, and all these guys have had some injuries in the past as well. And so you look at some of these teams now, man, they're coming for you. The Denvers of the world, the Sacramentos of the world, the Lakers. Sure, they're old with LeBron, but they got some young talent. And so I agree with Chuck. The Warriors are the fourth team in California.
You're not a big Warrior guy, are you?
I just the word Warriors pisses me off. I just, it's just so smug. You know what I mean? Just so confident and sure of themselves. And, it sort of reminds me of the Patriots when they were winning. They had this saying, Whitey, you hate us because you ain't us. That's sort of like the way the Warriors carry themselves. They don't say that, but that's just the way they carry themselves.
Here's what I don't understand about the Warriors. And, and I've been covering them for a few years, and it's a great organization and, great guys, great coaches. But this whole talk of the Warrior dynasty ended when Durant left, and it was a tremendous dynasty. It was those two championships they won with Durant. You could argue those are among the greatest teams we've ever seen. Since then, they did win the one a couple years ago, which was great. Yeah. That's the one that's going to stand out in future years. People are going to say, how did they win that one? And to their credit, they did. But the dynasty ended. They're hanging on and trying to make the most of what they have, but we're hardly in the midst of a Warrior dynasty right now.
No, I agree with you. You win 3 out of 4 years, if that's a dynasty to me. 4 in 8 years, this is like a new chapter for the Warriors. It's not the same run. And, as much as, they give them credit, they won 3 out of 4. How many times do you see the best player or arguably the best player go to the best team in free agency? That's like Giannis going to join the Joker in Denver right now or something or going to join the Celtics, and so the Warriors, they won the titles, not taking anything from them, but their run is a little different than in past years we've seen champions. I mean, you got the best player arguably going to the best team in free agency. It just, I don't know. It rubs me the wrong way.
I did think it was cool that last night Durant got such a warm welcome, and I guess that's not really a surprise, but the surprise is, of course, that it had been 4 years since he left, and that was the first time that he played in front of fans in San Francisco. But I think if it had been sooner, I think the reaction, I'm not saying it should have been, I think it would have been more mixed, but with the passage of time, I think Warrior fans got to realize, wow, this guy left us, but it's a good thing he left Oklahoma City and came here, or our Warrior history wouldn't be what it is right now.
Yeah, exactly. How many titles do they have if Kevin Durant doesn't go there? We'll never know, but you could argue, LeBron and Cleveland might have another one if Durant doesn't go there. I mean, think about it. Durant joined a 73-win team. It wasn't like he went to, a 6 seed and then helped put him over the top. The Warriors were already a 73-win team when they got Kevin Durant. And, I might say something controversial here, but Steph Curry, he got to thank Kevin Durant. As great as Steph Curry is, we're not talking about a 4-time champ if Kevin Durant doesn't go there. Maybe a 2, maybe a 3-time champ.
Right. I mean, 2 finals MVP awards for Kevin Durant.
Right.
That's
exactly.
Yeah. There's also more national media love for the Kings from The Athletic. Zach Harper has, and as you know, Kyle, I'm not a huge fan of power rankings. Like, check the standings. But we don't have standings yet, so I thought I would see what he had for the power rankings. and he has the Kings ranked 8th in the NBA overall, which to me, that's pretty impressive. And he has them second. There's 6 teams that he says these are legitimate contenders. The next tier is on the verge of contending. We're talking about for a championship. Wow. He has the Kings in that second group. There's 3 teams in there. So I know if you're a real Kings fan, I could understand you might quibble with that. They should be higher. But to me, given the slander that we've seen from national corners of late, I thought that's a pretty nice rosy view of the Kings to say they're the 8th best team in the entire league. I would take that.
Yeah, I think so too. And, when you talk about, Zach Harper, we've seen Zach Lowe last week hyping us up as well. To me, that's not disrespectful coming in at number 8. That's, what, I'll take that. We're right there with that. The only issue I would have is he got the Warriors in that top tier.
That's true. That's true.
But I can see us with the Miami Heat, the Clippers. I could see us, ahead of the Minnesota Timberwolves, the Memphis Grizzlies, especially with the Steven Adams news, the Sixers. And so it's no slander to have the Kings second tier. I think, fans, that's a realistic, objective look at Sacramento.
That's it. Yeah. I'm not saying that the Kings can't do better than that, but given what we've seen, it was respectful. It's like, yes, okay, you're paying attention to what's going on. Thank you. We appreciate that. And we're paying attention to what's going on in Salt Lake City, where Kyle Draper is getting ready to bring us the play-by-play call, TV wise. What's going on? It sounds like they're getting some of the in-game entertainment. They're doing some drills on that.
Yeah. We had the cheer squad out here, the dance team out here earlier. They're testing the sound equipment. I'm looking at Harrison Barnes, it looks like right now, and Kessler Edwards warming up. And so, it's funny because, HB is always, oh no, that's Davion. My eyes are bad, dude. I'm gonna be like, Davion and Harrison Barnes look nothing alike, but I'm looking at them from behind, and I think that's Davion down there warming up. And so usually what it is, the young players come out first, then in the next group, and then the veterans, come out last. Harrison Barnes is one of the interesting ones because he's usually one of the first ones in the building. But he has to get his massage and all that.
Mm-hmm.
When you get as old as HB, it takes a little more to get loosened up, get lubed up.
As a baseball fan, I learned from my dad how cool it is to go to batting practice. And if you're a basketball fan, I don't think they even open the arena. They used to open the arenas much earlier, but it's really cool to get to see what you're seeing right now, Kyle. Just seeing guys working on their games. When I was covering the Warriors, the younger players, as you said, would come out first. They'd have drills for them. And it's a shame that not everybody gets to see that, because to me, it's really fascinating to see players work on their games that way.
Yeah, I agree. And, one of the best sites is if you're ever able to get into Golden One Center a little early and watch the guys work out. That's one of the things, my son loves to do.
Yeah.
He loves to come in with me early. When I was in Boston, Kyrie used to come in at like 3:30, 3:45, like 3.5 hours before the game, and he'd be the only one. And to be able to see that, just get that behind the scenes look at some of the game's best players. It's funny, man, because when you think about this Kings squad and really every NBA team, they're working on their game right now. They had practice earlier. So it's not just a one-time, like these guys are constantly working on their games. And sometimes you'll see guys after games come back out and shoot. I mean, it's a true job. I know it's a game and it's a sport they love, but they put in the work, no doubt.
Well, Kyrie had to get there early because it takes a good 90 minutes to burn sage the whole way around, right? You don't just come in and sprint around the floor if you're going to do it properly. You got to get there early. So
that's true. You got to get out all the demons and all everything. That takes time, Whitey. That takes time.
You got to do it right. When we come back, what was the most surprising thing about a Kings team that last year stunned the basketball world? Kyle Draper in Salt Lake City, Whitey in Sacramento. It's a Drive Guys opening night, Sactown Sports.
The Sacramento Kings play here.
He's got the triple. Sacramento takes the lead. Outstanding ball movement by Sacramento.
Every triple, every jam, every Kings win.
Sabonis with the jam over the Joker. He's got the three-point shot.
Get your Kings fix all season long.
Right here on your home of the Sacramento Kings.
Here's a steal by Fox, the breakaway. He's got the rip with the left hand.
Sactown Sports at SactownSports.com.
Sacramento weather is brought to you by Bonnie.
I'm Mark Finan in the KCRA3 Weather Center. Skies will stay cloudy during the evening hours tonight. Any rain showers we will see will be moving out very quickly. Tomorrow, we get back to sunshine with daytime highs in the upper 60s. Get the latest forecast on the KCRA3 News and the KCRA3 app.
Winter's coming, so let's kick off the cold season right and get your heater all tuned up. Now, just $79. No matter how cold it gets outside, you'll always be warm and toasty inside. Plumbing, sewer, electrical, heating, and air. Bonnie.com.
I'm Ebony Loren, and Febrez's new scent, Soothe and Restore, is so good I wrote a song about it.
I know just what I do. Febreze has my favorite scent. Makes the perfect environment. Sweet like sugar, smooth shea butter. What could be better than being with each other now? Breathe happy Febreze. La 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 la.
It's no secret to golf enthusiasts that Timber Creek and Sierra Pines in Roseville are one of the region's most unique and scenic places to enjoy a great game of golf. 27 holes, boundless options. Elevate your game on our newly renovated driving range, putting green, and chipping area. Whether you're aiming for fun, lower scores, or all-around growth, we've got you covered. Experience golfing dreams in Roseville and book your tee time at timbercreekgc.com. Timber Creek and Sierra Pines, your ultimate golf haven.
Folsom Lake Ford has trucks. The F-150s are here. Explorers, Expeditions, and a huge selection of Broncos and Bronco Sports. They're in stock now at Folsom Lake Ford. Shop Folsom Lake Ford, your truck headquarters, right here in Sacramento for your favorite Ford models at good, fair prices. Short on cash? Buy any new Ford with zero down. Save big with low interest finance rates. Plus, Folsom Lake Ford is paying top dollar for all trades. We want your vehicle regardless of mileage or condition. This could be the best time to buy a new Ford. Check out the huge inventory online at folsomlakeford.com or stop by the dealership and see the most recent arrivals. Looking for something special? Give them a call and tell them Doug Christie sent you. Folsom Lake Ford in the Folsom Auto Mall, your trusted dealer, my trusted dealer for over 30 years. FolsomLakeFord.com.
0 down with approved credit. The 49ers Report, brought to you by EB Stone. EB Stone, for the life of your garden. Another heartbreaking loss on the road for the 49ers, dropping their second game of the season to Minnesota, 22-17. Quarterback Kirk Cousins torched the 49ers defense for 378 passing yards, a season high allowed by the red and gold. The 49ers had a chance to win the game late, but two costly fourth-quarter interceptions by Brock Purdy doomed the team to the loss. The red and gold would look to bounce back in Week 8, hosting Cincinnati at Levi Stadium.
With over 100 years as a family-owned company, EB Stones learned a few things about making plants grow. Start a healthy family hobby with indoor planting with EB Stones' Edna's Best Indoor and Outdoor Potting Soil to help your little plants grow into the perfect indoor plant for the kids and family to enjoy. EB Stones' Indoor and Outdoor Potting Soil is perfectly blended with all the important ingredients you need to create that perfect indoor and outdoor plant or garden. EB Stone, for the life of your garden. Visit ebstone.org for more gardening tips, products, and...
Hey everyone, gather around. It's time for corny jokes about passing the torch.
The team at Kirian's Welding was fused together solid.
Thanks for all the late nights and early shifts.
But double retirements mean the crew must bond with some certified new hires.
You've both gone the extra millimeter.
Indeed can help them hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Our hiring platform instantly connects you with quality candidates, and you can schedule and conduct virtual interviews right from the Indeed dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Hey, if you're thinking about getting the latest iPhone, check this out. With Boost Infinite, you get the latest iPhone every year and unlimited wireless for just $60 a month. Yeah, you get the new iPhone 15 Pro with titanium. Then again, next year, you get the latest iPhone. Every year. Boost Infinite. Infinitely better. To learn more, pick up your phone, dial pound 250 and say Boost Infinite. That's pound 250 and say Boost Infinite. Terms apply. After 30 gigabytes, service may be slowed. Receive a comparable iPhone model each year with an acceptable trade-in every year. Requires credit qualification and 36-month phone financing agreement. You'll have the option to receive a one-time auto-dial text message from this station's network.
Your home for Kings basketball for over 25 seasons.
Sactown Sports.
Yeah, before we get back to the opening night fun, another reminder, homecoming night for Sacramento State football, Saturday versus Idaho State. Kickoff 6 p.m. Come early, enjoy the festivities. Get your tickets at hornetsports.com. There's the horn. That means it's time to go to Kyle Draper. Get ready for the telecast here. A couple of questions here in the chat for you, Kyle. Compio, your buddy Compio asked, who is the guy over Draper's left shoulder?
Oh, that's my guy Jake right here. He's the board operator. He's helping us out. Our engineer, he's chopping it up with G-Man. G-Man just showed up over here to my left as well. I would have him jump on with us, but he got to catch his breath from walking up about 80,000 steps to get up to our location here. But, yeah, so we got the crew here, man. We're getting ready.
Great. Yeah, and so the guy behind you is the guy that told us about the funeral potatoes in Utah, and I looked it up, and it really looks good. And I didn't understand why it was called funeral potatoes, but typically it's something that you bring, like if you're going to a funeral or something and you're bringing food over, it's a dish that you traditionally bring over to the family that that you want to help out.
It was interesting, and I love the city of Utah. I came here for All-Star Weekend, was a great time, brought my son. So please, all the Salt Lake City residents, don't take offense to this. But I turned to Jake, and I'm like, Jake, what's the best steakhouse in town, man? What's the top restaurant out here? And after about a 20-second pause, he said, I think we got a Ruth's Chris in town. And I'm like, no, Jake, that's not what I'm looking for, big fella. I want the locally owned, that's not the chain. And I'm still waiting. I will say, we went to a fabulous Italian restaurant last night, Voltaire's, I think it's called, had a team dinner there, several courses. That was the bomb. That was good. So they do have some good restaurants here in Utah.
CK916 says, let's make this quick so the Utah natives can get back to their Jell-O bowls. And now it's almost getting personal. And I'm not entirely comfortable with where this is headed.
You started it, Whitey. You're the one that started.
I meant well. I was trying to pay homage to the great state of Utah. Glad you're having a good time there hours before tip-off. It's already a very special night, Kyle, especially I know for you being there courtside.
Yeah, I'm excited, man. I'm sitting here watching Sasha Vezenkov knock down 3 after 3, and he's going to be big for this team, obviously. Came over with a lot of hype, and I'm hoping for a big game for him. He'll be fine. I understand that. I just want it to happen sooner rather than later. I said the other day, Whitey, I would like to see him get to the bucket early on. Don't just settle for the 3, get some contact, get to the line, and then start knocking down the 3. And so it's exciting to see these guys warm up and get ready.
Who knows what's going to happen this year across the NBA? Last year, of course, the Kings surprised a lot of people. Kyle, what would you say was the most surprising thing about that Kings team, a team that surprised the basketball world? What surprised you the most about that team last year?
I think it was the level of fight and competitiveness in this team late in games. How many years has it been, Whitey, where, the Kings would have a lead or be a close game, and we thought, all right, how are the Kings going to lose this one, right? Like that was the narrative. Last season, it was, how are they going to win this one? What are they going to do? And time and time again, they found a way to win. I mentioned that double overtime win over the Clippers. Let's not forget the Kings were down several times in the fourth quarter in overtime of that game, but they kept fighting back. I think, what teams learned about Sacramento last season, before you come into the building, you punch them in the mouth, there was no retaliation, no counter punch. This team had a counter punch last season, and to me, that was the biggest surprise.
2 things that surprised me the most were, one, of course, was just the strange home road split where, why weren't they better at home? I don't understand that. I'm sure they don't. And then the other thing was the fact that this team started off so poorly, 0-4, and yet they were able to extricate themselves from that hold, end up winning 48 after an 0-4 start. I remember talking to somebody, asked me about the Kings early on. Like, oh, what's wrong with that team? Oh, they can't defend and Sabonis fouls too much. and then they figured it out after starting 0-4. That's what's most remarkable to me about that turnaround.
No, you're right about that. But, we came into that season with so much promise. We thought, all right, this might be the year. And then they get off to that 0-4 start, and we're like, what the heck happened?
Yeah.
And so for them to be able to turn that around, like you said, and start stringing together some wins, kudos to them. That we should have learned something then, right?
Mhm.
Because instead of 0-4, it could have been 0-6, 0-8. The year before, I think we saw 2 9-game losing streaks. Like, if this team even goes on a 4-game losing streak, I would be shocked. That's where we're at now in terms of Sacramento Kings basketball.
You're a Boston guy. Do you remember this? I'm not sure the number. I think it was the 86 Celtics, and I think they were 40-1.
40-1.
Was that what? Okay, we gotta top this year. Right?
I don't know how you top that. What do you go perfect? But you know what? I agree, man. After what took place last season, we got to protect home court better. I mean, we got the best fans in the entire league. The fans showed out night in and night out, and too many times they left disappointed. They were 23-18 at home. If you're a good team, you should be 30-11 or something like that. Think about that. You're supposed to take care of home court, split your road games, and that's a recipe for 55 to 60 wins.
Compio on the chat is predicting 27 for Kyler Murray. It's Kyler Murray, sorry. Keegan Murray. Sorry. Yeah. And Manny Too Legit says Herter's going to have 3 to 6 threes. So somewhere in there. Yeah.
All right. I hope both of those come true tonight. If both of those happen, I guarantee a Kings win. And I am excited to see Keegan because think about it. We've seen him during Summer League. We've seen him during preseason, but now is where it really matters, right? Now it actually counts in the standings, in the stat book and everything like that. He comes out and gets that 27 that Compio is thinking. I mean, I think that would just, put the league on notice that, the Kings no longer have a big 2. They're on the verge of having a big 3.
Yeah, I don't think Kyler Murray's going to do anything tonight. Keegan's going to have a big night. Kyler's not doing anything tonight. I don't even know if he's healthy. By the way, looks like Luka may not play tonight, unfortunately.
Really?
With a calf
What's the
strain,
word on him?
Calf strain of some kind. Yeah. And what do we know about Trey Lyles tonight?
Yeah, Trey Lyles is definitely out. He did not take part in shoot around or practice or anything. He just sat on the bench watching guys, watching the team. And so, Trey, it's funny about him. He played 2 years here in Utah. And when I talked to him about coming back last season, I'm like, what's the vibe like? You excited? It was like, you know what? Utah, it just was a blip on the radar for him, like no connection or anything like that, no homecoming or, it didn't elicit any kind of reaction. And so I'm sure he'd like to be out there because it's opening night, but I'm sure he's not bummed not to go against the Jazz.
Yeah, maybe he never tried the funeral potatoes. Maybe that was part of the problem.
Maybe that was the problem.
Yeah.
That's all they had.
Yeah.
Funeral potatoes and Jell-O. I mean, he's a Canadian. They got better food in Canada than they do out here in Salt Lake City. Jeez.
When we come back, why the Kings will be a better team this year as our opening night festivities continue with the Drive Guys on Sactown Sports.
Check out the Golf to Go Hour with Frank LaRosa every week on Sactown Sports. Get the latest on equipment, area courses, people who play the great game, and plenty of good conversations about golf. It's the Golf to Go Hour every week with Frank LaRosa on Sactown Sports. Golf to Go is brought to you by the Hagen Oaks Golf Super Shop, America's most awarded golf facility. Naturewood Home Furnishings, where it's all about choices and always about quality.
All new spring deals are here at Lowe's. Start planting your garden this weekend with Bonnie 11.8-ounce vegetables. Buy 4 for $10. Plus, liven up your patios and decks with fresh blooms. Select 1.5-gallon hanging baskets or 2 for $20. Lowe's knows spring. Lowe's knows home improvement. Offers valid through 5/17. In-store only. Actual plant size and selection varies by location. While supplies last, excludes Alaska and Hawaii.
Thunder, feel the thunder. It ignites something inside of you. Lightning and the thunder. It's a new era in entertainment. Experience legendary performers like never before. All new and all incredible. This is the venue. See it, hear it, feel it.
Thunder, feel the thunder.
lightning and the thunder.
Thunder Valley Casino Resort. Feel the thunder.
It's the sponsor of the drive of the game, Jiffy Lube, our old friends, our dear friends, Jiffy Lube. With winter coming up, listen, all kinds of things. Obviously, oil changes, wiper blades, tire rotations. You get your air filters replaced. Make sure you winterize your vehicle. For more information, of course, you can go to jiffylube.com and make sure you tune in after each and every Kings game for the Jiffy Lube drive of the game. For more info, once again, go to jiffylube.com.
Are you a business owner in need of financing? Then you need Swish Funding, the better way to get the funding you need. Our simple application process takes just minutes, with funding as soon as one business day. At Swish Funding, we focus on your business cash flow, not your personal credit score. And we're ready to help with funding from $5,000 to $5 million. If you've been in business for 1 year and have monthly revenue of at least $25,000, you could get the affordable funding you need with no collateral at swishfunding.com. That's SWISH funding.com.
Golf to Go is brought to you by the Hagen Oaks Golf Super Shop. Here's Frank LaRosa.
Born in 1892 to a socially prominent family, she was the consummate athlete, proficient in golf, tennis, marksmanship, swimming, and car racing. Many considered her the greatest horsewoman of the century. She was a pioneer in the field of golf course development with 3 world-class courses on her resume: the Women's National Golf and Tennis Club, Cypress Point, and Pasatiempo. Working for SFB Morse of Pebble Beach fame led to her second golf course development, which many consider to be the greatest golf course in the world, Cypress Point, where she developed a lifelong friendship and professional relationship with famed architect Alistair McKenzie. Pasatiempo in Santa Cruz was her third development, where she hosted the likes of Bobby Jones, Will Rogers, Babe Saharias, and more. Today, her place is alongside many others in the World Golf Hall of Fame. Congratulations, Marion Hollins, a visionary golf course architect and pioneer of the game. That's your Golf to Go. I'm Frank LaRosa.
What's up? I'm here with Chad Hoblet of Hoblet Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, and Woodland. Chad, what's going on for Jeep Adventure Days?
With gas prices skyrocketing, good gas mileage is more important now than ever. And right now, you can save up to $11,000 off MSRP when you lease a new 2024 Jeep Wrangler Sport S 4xe plug-in hybrid.
Okay, but what about hauling my family around?
Well, save even more with up to $14,000 off MSRP when you lease a new 2023 Jeep Grand Cherokee Limited 4xe plug-in hybrid. Great mileage and big savings on one of America's most loved SUVs.
These deals can't last long. Hurry into the Hoblet Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Center or see their full inventory at hobletdodge.com. Unbeatable prices, unbeatable selection. Nobody beats Hoblet, period.
11,000 total Wrangler 4xe net savings on lease only after 8,500 factory rebates and 2,500 dealer discount. 14,000 total Grand Cherokee 4xe net savings on lease only after 11,500 factory rebates and 2,500 dealer discount. Lease options subject to credit approval. Not everyone will qualify. Rebates include 7,500 federal tax credit rebate. Subject to change without notice. 5 at each net savings. See dealer for details.
KHTKAM HD1 Sacramento. KYMX HD2 Sacramento. From the Power Business Technology Toshiba Studios.
This is Sactown Sports.
Sactown Sports.
Headlines.
Happy Wednesday and happy opening night, Kings fans. I'm Simone, and these are your Sactown Sports headlines. Unfortunately, we start with reports coming out of Santa Clara and the Faithful camp. San Francisco 49ers quarterback Brock Purdy has entered concussion protocol, according to head coach Kyle Shanahan. Speculation indicates that Brock Purdy is now unlikely to play on Sunday versus the Bengals based on concussion protocol trends and procedures. For more on this developing story, head to SactownSports.com. Of course, tonight, the Sacramento Kings open up the 2023-24 regular season from Salt Lake City as they try to boogie down with the Jazz. The Drive Guys will be lacing you up with the latest roster notes, predictions, and need-to-knows, cruising you right up until game night coverage beginning at 4:30 with Scott Marsh and Henry Turner, followed by tip-off at 6 p.m. I'm Simone. Those are your headlines. Last 30 rack before game night jumps off. So you know what that means. Go forth and light the beam, baby!
The only station in Sacramento giving you local sports coverage from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. Sactown Sports.
Drive Guys continue. Nice to hear Simone's excited for opening night. I think what we need, Kyle, I don't know if this has ever been done, and as a broadcaster, you might be reluctant to do it, but I still think you should. We need you to start the Light the Beam chant now in the Delta Center. What do you think of that?
Light the beam. Light the beat.
You and the G.
Light the beat. Come on, G. Oh, G-Man just went down the steps. We were about to get it started. He just went downstairs. I'm about to get escorted out already.
That was well done. Well done. Hey, before we continue with the Kings, I want to try to clarify some of the, I don't even know if they're conflicting reports. There's a lot of information flying around about Brock Purdy, and it doesn't all line up. So just real quick, and I know Simone addressed this, Adam Schefter had said Brock Purdy is now unlikely to play. That's Adam Schefter said, unlikely to play. And he said no NFL player placed into concussion protocol this season has played the same week. Okay, that's Schefter. Matt Mayoko, who is a 49er beat writer, of course, he says the only 49er player to go into protocol this season was offensive lineman John Feliciano. He sustained a concussion during the Week 4 game against the Cardinals, got cleared for Week 5, and played against the Cowboys without sitting out any games. Okay, that's the 49ers beat writer. Matt Mayoko also reports that Kyle Shanahan said Brock Purdy has enough time to clear the return to play protocol in order to play. So I'm not sure, we talked earlier last week about how it seems like Schefter maybe has some connections with the Shanahan family. I don't know, but I don't think it's safe yet to assume that we're not going to see Brock Purdy. We'll wait and see. So fingers crossed.
Right. Yeah, we just don't know, right?
Yeah.
I mean, right now we just don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So hopefully we'll see him because, boy, when things start going wrong for you after a 5-0 start, huh, Kyle? It's
right.
Wow.
It's just like, everything was coming up 21, blackjack. And now, they're crapping out every time. And so, fortunately, still a lot of time left to go, obviously, but I've talked about it. You got to keep an eye on the Eagles. You don't want to get too far behind. You don't want to get 2 games behind them because then that December 3rd game becomes a must win when it comes to home field advantage. And so they're going through it right now. We'll see how the week goes, but this is a big test come Sunday against Cincinnati.
Look, this isn't easy for me to say, but you're right. Yeah. You warned us about the 49er Viking game. You were right about that. And I'm not even going to mention the Phillies. So, not even going there. So, well done.
Did I tell you, though? This is going to be breaking news. I don't know if I should share this or not, but I did get tickets to that December 10th Niners Seahawks game.
Yes.
So your boy will be in attendance at Levi's Stadium. And so I'll have my Marshawn Lynch jersey on, my Warren Moon jersey on from the 80s and 90s. And so, yeah, man, I'll be down there. Let's go.
Now, that was just mean. That was just mean-spirited. Okay, you're an Eagles fan. You're from Philly. Like, okay, but Marshawn Lynch, Steve Largent, let's go.
Right, Steve Largent.
12th man.
All of a sudden, right? Hey, mentioned the Seahawks all year, my whole life. All of a sudden, I become a big Seahawks fan. No, it'll be fun. And, I just want a good game. I'll have my son there, so I'll be on my best behavior. I want 49ers fans to be on their best behavior. No, so I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, you'll get a good game. I have a feeling you'll get a good game. But what do I know? I thought the 49ers going to handle the Vikings. Tell me this, in your professional opinion, why will the Kings be a better team this year than last year?
Is that a one-answer question, or is
no? I
can expound and
please
give you multiple different reasons.
So, yes,
I'm gonna say the first reason that they will be better, the emergence of my guy Keegan Murray, who's out there on the court warming up right now. Knock that down, Keegan. Oh, he missed that one. Hold up. There you go. Bang. Keegan Murray. He's ready for tonight. No, I just think Keegan Murray is ready to take that leap. I'm not saying all-star or anything like that, but this is a 17, 18 point per game scorer we're about to see. So 1, I think they'll be better. 2, another year in the system. It's hard that first year, new system, new players, these guys know their spots right now. They know where guys like the ball. They know guys, tendencies and their deficiencies, and they just know each other a little bit better. So that honeymoon phase, it's not fully off just yet, but it's still there a little bit. But these guys know what to expect night in and night out from each other. So I think they'll be better.
Mm-hmm. I would add to those, and I agree 100% with those. You got this has to do with these kind of related a year under Mike Brown's system and the continuity,
Right?
Just continuing and just everybody having a clear idea of how we're doing this and everyone knowing that it works. I mean, we can get better at it, but the things we did last year as a team, it worked. We're all pulling on the same rope and we're pulling it in the right direction and we're having getting some positive results.
Yeah, 100%. And but ultimately, Whitey, it comes down to personal pride. And do you want to be a champion? And I always said, one of the hardest things to do is to repeat as a champion, because you've already got your ring. You cemented your legacy to an extent. Now, do you come back with that same hunger, that same passion? To an extent, I want to see the Sacramento Kings come back a hungrier team, a more passionate team. Don't just live off of what happened last year. Just because you got the monkey off your back with the streak being over, the drought being over, aim higher this year. And so I think, when you talk about, why they will be better, I think, if they have that hunger, that internal desire, that fire burning in them, that'll be another reason why they're better this year.
Yeah, and they're deeper. I think you touched on that. And I know you spent a ton of time around them. I just know from being around a media day, you could hear it in their voices, how determined they were to improve on the playoff exit last year, how that really burned for a lot of those guys. They felt that. And not only did they feel that sting of losing, they also realized how great it was to get to the playoffs. And they want to get back to the playoffs. I mean, everyone says that, but you can tell they really do. I don't think we've seen that intensity yet from them, but I do think it's honestly there, and I suspect we'll see a lot more of it tonight than we've seen so far in the preseason.
Yeah, and one thing I'm encouraged about is the fact that De'Aaron Fox and Keegan Murray and several guys, they spent the summer right here in Sacramento. It wasn't like, 12 guys, 12 different cabs, and they worked out together. Fox was in the gym day in and day out. And so he's the head of the snake. He's the leader of this team. Domas was working hard. They had the trip to Napa. They had the trips to Southern California. They worked out in Vegas. I mean, and so this team is a close-knit team that, isn't afraid to work. It's not like somebody's like, oh, we still got to practice. Mike's practicing us again. That's one thing. And I failed to mention last year, Mike Brown practiced the Sacramento Kings more than any team I've ever seen practice in the NBA. They would have a game Thursday, land late, and then practice Friday. Like, they were always practicing, and not once did I hear a player complain or see any bad body language or anything like that. I thought it was crazy. Like, when you have a back-to-back, the next day is off. When you get in late, maybe the next day is off. But no, Mike Brown had these guys in the gym, and they did it with a smile on their face. There was no grumpiness, no complaining. And so that's encouraging to me.
Yeah, and I think that speaks to the fact that whether we're talking about the way the team was set up, we're building around Fox, how many practices we're going to have, everybody again bought in, right? And Mike Brown deserves a ton of credit for that. But as I always say, so do the players. They're the ones that have to make that choice. What are we doing here? What do we have to do to get there? All right, we're in. And it seems like that level of commitment is just as high, if not higher, this year than it was last year.
Yeah, exactly. That the players have to want to be coached.
Yeah.
Right, Whitey? Yeah. I mean, players, can easily tune out a coach and say, forget that. But no, De'Aaron Fox, Domas, I would go to shoot around. I would go to practice. And the first thing he'd have on film session, he's pointing out mistakes De'Aaron made, mistakes Domas made. And, those guys could have pouted or had egos and things like that, but they didn't. They welcomed that criticism, sort of like with Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick was hard on Tom Brady, would always get on Tom Brady in film session, and then that earned the respect of the rest of the players as well.
Yeah, that's why I think one of the guys that's absolutely key to the culture that doesn't get the credit for it he deserves is Malik Monk. Because Malik Monk, you're coming off the bench. All right, I'm going to dominate off the bench. You know that he knows, and I talked to him about this. He's good enough to start. Right. But for now, it's like, this is the way it's going. All right, fine. I'll make the best of it, and we will win this way, and I will play well. If he doesn't do that, then, you got a lot of dominoes falling in the right direction. So a lot of credit goes to him for that.
Yeah, exactly. And you're right. He's good enough to start. It's interesting. We talk about that starting two-guard spot. Nobody's ever mentioned Malik Monk, right?
I know.
It just hit me. I'm like, how come we aren't talking about Malik in that starting lineup? We're talking about Kobe Jones. We're talking about Duarte. What about Malik? But, Malik is one of those guys that, he's happy to be playing, whether it's, here in Sacramento or on the playground in Arkansas where he grew up. He just loves basketball, and he's out there with a smile and also with a swagger as well, a chip on his shoulder at times too, man. So he's been perfect for this team.
Yeah, and he's a perfect sixth man, right? It's like, you're too good at it. We can't start you. You're so good coming in and having an impact, immediately upon entering the game. So when we come right back, quick timeout, and then we're just about wrapping it up, and Kyle's getting ready to bring you the play-by-play. We got game night coming up, but up next, Bowl Kings predictions for the brand new season. As opening night continues here, Drive Guys, Sactown Sports.
The 82-game NBA journey begins Wednesday for the Sacramento Kings.
He's got the triple. Sacramento takes the lead. Outstanding ball movement by Sacramento.
But G-Man Gary Gerald has all the play-by-play Wednesday of season number 39 in Sacramento.
Sabonis with the jam over the Joker.
It's the Kings and Jazz in the season opener from Utah.
He's got the three-point shot.
Wednesday at 6 on your home of the Kings, Sactown Sports.
One of the things with running is I want to enjoy the run, but I never made it very far because the arches in my feet just killed me. So when I got to the end of my rope and I said, I have to do something to get rid of the pain, and a couple people recommended the Good Feet store to me. I loved how I could go in and get a free personalized arch support fitting. They put that time, that work, that effort into helping you find the right arch supports. And you can walk around the store with these in your shoes and try them out before you purchase them. So after I got my arch supports, the arches on my feet stopped hurting, and the pain literally instantly went away. So if you have pain, go. Find a Good Feet store and go. There is an answer. Find the simple solution that will get rid of your pain. I'm Rondi, and that's my Good Feet story.
See how Good Feet arch supports work for you before you buy with a free fitting and test walk at the Good Feet store.
Knee, hip, foot, leg, or back pain? Visit the Good Feet store in Sacramento, Roseville, and Vacaville.
Your flagship station for the Beam Team, Sactown Sports.
Got to remind you that homecoming night for Sacramento State football Saturday versus Idaho State. Kickoff, 6 p.m. Come early, enjoy the festivities.
Look like Drake.
Get your tickets at hornetsports.com. Kyle Draper joining us from Salt Lake City.
I'm cool, man.
Yeah. It was a quick break. Kyle at the Delta Center got a lot going on. Doesn't quite realize.
Yeah, here I am. What's up, man?
Yeah.
I got my stats guy. What's your name again? Will, my man Will. How old are you, Will? 24. Come here for a sec. Come here, Whitey. Check out Will right here.
What's up,
Check out Will. This guy, check him out right here. My man got the tie on. He's ready to go. That's a stats guy for you, baby. So, he's going to help me out tonight. He's going to be on my left-hand side, feeding me all the cool stats and everything we need to know tonight.
King's going to keep him busy tonight, right?
Yes, exactly. All them 20-0 runs he's going to have to write down, right?
I have a guest here, nice enough to join us here. He's getting ready for game night. Kyle, the great high flyer Henry Turner is with us here.
My guy. What's up, high flyer?
I see you, KD. You can't see me, baby, but I got eyes on you. I see you.
I know you always do, man. You always do.
Got that Steve Harvey tie on. I like that.
Hey, you remember when Magic Johnson had a clothing line?
Yeah,
remember back in the day?
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. I used to rock the Magic Johnson ties back in the day, dude.
Hey, for sure, man. Well, you looking dapper, bro.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
We were just going to get into some bowl predictions. High flyer, do you have anything you are willing to share with us? I know you want to save something for game night as far as victories for the Kings this year, playoff seeding, anything you're willing to divulge along those lines?
Yeah, I mean, for me, for the Sacramento Kings, a good season would be 1 through 6.
Yes.
1 through 6. As long as they make it into the playoffs, and to make it a great season, they get out of the first round.
Mm-hmm.
It's plain and simple for me.
Yeah, no matter how they get there, what the victory,
I don't care if they roll the dice to get there. However they get there, long as they end up 1 through 6, I don't want them to have to go in from the play-in.
Right.
I don't
100% agree.
I don't want that for this team. But if it has to be that way, it has to be that way. But I want them to be 1 through 6 to say we legitimately made it for the second year in a row, and to make this season a positive. They got to get to that second round.
Yeah, but it is just if they get in this year, the playoffs, which they should.
It's a positive.
It's
a positive.
It's an accomplishment.
Yes, it's 2 in a row.
Yes,
it's 2 in a row.
Yeah.
Don't look at me, Whitey. Don't. See Drape. See, High Flyer agrees with me. That would be nice. That would be good. We'd be the Atlanta Hawks. Whoop-de-freaking-do, guys. I want something better for this franchise. I don't want to be no stinking Atlanta Hawks. We're the Sacramento Kings. There's a reason why we're the Kings, High Flyer. Come on, man. We need to win a series this year.
That's what I said, to make it a very positive year. They win the season. I'm with you, KD. I want the sky for this basketball team. But at the end of the day, I'm looking at it realistically. I want this team to take steps. You just don't go from sugar to Shinola in one step. Okay, it takes steps for you to get to that championship, and Mike Brown is doing everything he can for those guys to make that step. So the next step and their maturation is to make the playoffs 2 years in a row and come to the second round. That's the next step for this ball club.
Yeah, making the playoffs in Sacramento is something worth celebrating. Am I right?
No doubt. I mean, Coach Brown wouldn't think that.
I know.
Because you know
Kyle
what?
Draper.
You know what? Because he's been to the mountaintop.
Exactly.
That's the thing.
Mike, we done been to the mountaintop, baby.
That's what I'm saying. You know what?
You've been to the Matterhorn at Disneyland.
That's about it.
No, let me tell you, when you wear ties the way this guy does it, the way he does it, he's at the mountaintop. So him and Mike Brown knows exactly what it takes. So they're looking for excellence. They're ready to get to that championship. But I know
you're looking for excellence too.
But I know, as being a basketball player and being in the NBA, it takes steps. Those teams who have had championship runs just don't jump from that first round to a championship. It takes steps.
We were just talking about ways that we think the Kings will be better this year. Kyle, and I don't mean to speak for you. I think we're on the same page here. Keegan Murray's improvement. Kings will be better by virtue of Keegan Murray
no doubt.
playing better.
No doubt.
Year under Mike Brown's system. How about the potential to just play better at home this year?
You know, I'm not going to even talk about the offensive side of the ball. The Sacramento Kings know who they are, and I think KD knows that too. Their identity has been solidified on the offensive end. It's everything that the Kings need to do to up their game is on the defensive side of the ball. If they can raise their defense from 30th on a pick and roll situation to like 15th, that will elevate this team to where they need to go.
Okay, how did they do that? And before you answer, I talked to Jerry about this yesterday. There was a time when Brook Lopez, as you know better than us, Brook Lopez is like, he's not a good defender. He's a really good defender now. If he can do that, how do the Kings, and I don't, the apples and oranges to a degree, how do the Kings become a better defensive team?
Everybody has to be on the same accord. Everybody has to be on a string. Like you said earlier on, Brook Lopez wasn't a good one-on-one defender. He still may not be a good one-on-one defender, but he's a very good team defender. Yeah. You know, we talk about what's going to keep Sasha on the floor. He's not a very good one-on-one defender, but he can become a very good team defender, and that'll make up for his deficiencies as a one-on-one defender on the ball.
And I fire real quick. You know this. You're only as good as your weakest link defensively, right? If everybody, to your point, isn't on the same page, if one man gets beat, that compromises the entire defense. And so that's why when you look at Sasha, when you look at Kevin Huerter, when you look at some of these guys, it's imperative on them to guard your yard. You got to get better defensively because it compromises the rest of the defense.
You know what? I'm gonna put it to you like this, KD. You watch the Golden State Warriors.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, Steph Curry is a liability on the defensive side for the Golden State Warriors. But what he does do is that when he gets beat and his guy Draymond Green comes up and help, he rotates over to Draymond Green's guy to make sure he don't get the shot. Okay, you get beat one-on-one, but you just can't stop there. You got to rotate, be a team guy to make your team defense better.
Drapes, do you have any bold predictions you want to share? I know you were amused by some of the bold takes that Chris Watkins and I have De'Aaron Fox, 6th man of the year. I have, Malik Monk. Malik Monk, I'm sorry.
All right, I was like, dang, something went wrong.
Yeah, sorry. Malik Monk, 6th man of the year. De'Aaron Fox, 30 points a game. I have Keegan, 18 to 20 points a game. You got anything you want to share in that?
No, I'm going to say All-NBA one more time for my guy De'Aaron Fox.
True.
I think he'll make an All-NBA team once again. He's that good.
Yeah. Henry, anything?
I'm with that.
Yeah.
You know what? D Fox will still do his thing. I think Sabonis will still be the exact same guy he was.
Mm-hmm.
Keegan Murray is the X factor. If you can get Keegan Murray, and he looks good right now, I tell you what, he looks like a second-year player. He knows what's happening. He doesn't have that look like, okay, fellas, I'm just trying to fit in. He has that look like, okay, fellas, give it to me, I'm going.
Yeah, Drapes, thank you. Great job. We appreciate it.
Thank you,
We'll
fellas.
Look forward to your call, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll see you tomorrow in person. Yes, sir.
All right, great job. Thank you. Henry, you're all warmed up now?
Oh, I'm ready to go.
Yeah, stick around. Scott Marsh, Henry Turner have game night for you. Opening night, Sactown Sports. It's next.
Trying to find out where to catch your favorite team's games?
Are you a fan of the Kings, Niners, and the NFL? Well, Sactown Sports has you covered.
Touchdown!